All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Let me make sure that my mic is good. I think everything is good. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Melanated Council. Let me get my graphics and my life together. Boom. There we go. All right. Welcome, like I said, to the Melanated Council. I'm one out of the three hosts for this evening. We typically, there we go. We typically try to go live at 9 p.m. Pacific. No, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Y'all, today's been a day. It's been a good day. It's been an awesome, amazing day. Oh, no, not my camera messing up on me. So, yeah, so Tuesday, so every Tuesday we go live 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and then wherever else you're at in the world, you know, figure that one out. You guys got the do right going. As always, we thank you for liking the show. We thank you we thank you for liking. We thank you for subscribing. We thank you for the follows. We thank you for tweets, retweets, all that good stuff. And we just thank you guys for just showing up. I know we're coming up slowly but surely on our 3 year, if we haven't passed it already, but we are slowly coming up on our 3 year mark as being a channel that's doing this live stream. And so we want to celebrate with you guys on that 3 year. We got to figure out what we're going to do for 3 year for our third year anniversary. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But again, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. You could have been anywhere else in the whole wide world, but you chose to spend your time to kick it here with us, the Melanated Council. So again, I appreciate you guys so much. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And then when my other two hosts gets here, again, they're pretty much going to echo the same thing. Okay, so this month, um, I won't get into everything too much, but this month we're gonna do some things differently this month. And you can thank your homegirl when she shows up. You can thank your homegirl because she's the one who brought this up and said we should try it. We're gonna give it a shot. So just get ready for a lot of things being pushed open. Get ready for some very deep conversations. And even if you just chime in to say, hey, how's it going? We appreciate it always. But, it's going to be deep. It's going to be a tough one. So before we get into those conversations, hmm, first and foremost, we got to do what we normally do on every Tuesday night. How is everybody doing? Bam, there we go. So again, how was your weekend? Wait, let me take that off. Hey, what's going on, Chad? Hey, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you, sir. So again, just started showing up. I mean, not showing up. We just started the show. So again, the topic or the question that we normally do every Tuesday before we get into the stream, just to check the pulse, check the temperature, and just check in on each other. I mean, it's been a week. Even though yes, we do have a Discord, but still, it's still a week that anything could happen. So again, how's everybody doing tonight? How was your weekend? What did you do over the weekend? Things of that nature. I know with me as of right now, because kids are out of spring break, I'm at work technically, but I also do some other side gigs. So a lot of the side gigs have been popping up, which has been phenomenal. Phenomenal. I got a chance to jump back into watching Storm Chasers, and just get into the habit of watching that, just due to the fact for educational purposes, for entertainment purposes. Even though I would love to have been a Storm Chaser, but because of the fact the way how um, my life is set up, I can't do that. But it's always good to watch. It's always fascinating. I know over this weekend here in Michigan, we've had a nice few storms roll through here, and we're expected to get a little bit more. So, Rocky, hey, what's happening? What's going on, Rocky? It's good to see you both. Yeah, man. Yes, yeah. We missed you last week. Hopefully everything is good and well with you, Rocky. Hopefully everything is kosher for you. But yeah, man, we missed you. And even then, I messed around and jumped on Clubhouse because, you know, Clubhouse group was going on, and I didn't see you in the Clubhouse. I'm like, huh, like that's odd. Normally, I'll get a ping. Rocky, you ain't pinged me, so I'm kind of, just kind of thinking like, okay, what's going on, my boy Rocky? Is he good? Is he straight? Do we need to have a search party? Do we need to call, 50 and do a wellness check? Like, what's up, bro? What's up? What you been going on? What's been going on with you? Hopefully everything is all as well. Hopefully all is well. Hopefully all is well. I know a lot of people's been getting smacked around with illnesses, and life has been lifing and hasn't been too kind for most people. I get it. Trust me, get it. Oh wow. Okay. Oh, we're gonna have a fun night. Oh, we're about to have a fun night. I can't wait. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna introduce our our other two hosts who just showed up, like one right after another, which is hilarious. Sometimes this doesn't happen, but one popped in and the other one popped in like a couple seconds right after. So we're gonna go in order as they appeared. But that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. I get that. I get that one. That makes sense. Okay. But as long as you are good and as long as you are great, that's all that matters. As long as you're good and as long as you're great, that's all that matters. You know, that's all that matters. But yeah, 80 plus work week. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. Anyways, first and foremost, next person I'm gonna bring to the stage. This person, what can I not say about this person? Because she is phenomenal in her own right. I mean, there's not enough words in the English language. There's not enough words in the Spanish language. There's not enough words in the Mandarin Chinese language. And can't there's not enough words to describe who this person is and what this person means to this show, and personally what this person means to me. There's not enough words. There's not enough. You can look into the source and still run short as far as describing who this person is going to bring to the stage, because she's just like I said, she is just phenomenal in her own right. Um, Very passionate about topics, very passionate about things that are happening in the world. And even then, she's just very passionate about human beings not being jerks to each other. Very passionate about it. And so she's the one who tends to bring the best out you if you allow her to do so. Yes, yes, that is true. No words, only a letter. I'm telling you, like that's how dope this person is. Like she only goes by a letter. I mean, granted, yes, on the birth certificate probably has the whole government name on there, But because how dope and how awesome this person is, she only goes by a letter. And this letter, that's rough too. That's rough too. That's real rough. That's rough. Pause, stop, rewind, stop, play. Going back. But I got to take a drink because this person right here, yeah, this person right here, she deserves this one. So again, she's known by a letter. Don't matter what the government says. If you look on her ID, it don't even matter. I'm just saying, dun dun dun. Like if she had her own intro, her own dramatic music to come in, it'll probably be that. It'll probably be that. Or it might be like something that's like cyberpunk, anime, J-pop, along those lines, you know, or like a song from Super Smash Brothers, which she will absolutely destroy anybody in. So just saying. So y'all guessed it. Y'all love her. Y'all show her some love. She also has a podcast on Spotify, on iTunes, on whatever you find your podcast on. Please check her out on the Agreeable Gray Area podcast. I call it AGAP for short because that's a whole tongue twister. So check out AGAP and show her some love. Show her some love. Show her some love. And I'm still waiting on another episode because it's been like a couple of weeks. I think if Gil is in here, he could probably back me up. But it's been a couple of weeks, and so we gotta get on her. We gotta get on her. It's been a couple of weeks. Been itching, been fiending. So y'all go ahead and y'all help me show some love to the one, to the only, the lovely L.
Hey everybody. Thank you so much, Ron. like,
Welcome.
no, like your intros are like just the best. It makes me feel bad for like coming on before Toby. Because then I have to introduce Toby and I'm like, oh man, what do I even say?
Don't worry about it. I got some. I got something. I got something cooking for Toby. I got something for him.
Okay.
I got something cooking for Toby. Oh yeah, I got something. But yeah, I mean, so good to see you.
Yeah. No, it's great to see you too. Like I don't know why it feels like it's been long,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe because we're in a new month.
Yes.
But yeah, no, and like, thank you for mentioning Agreeable Gray Area because I actually was going to record an episode over the weekend. Um, oh, geez.
Yeesh. That
Uh,
sucks.
yeah, no, I was looking at the chat that, Rocky and Gift Shinobi have like 80 plus hour weeks. Like that's, no, it's like 16 plus days, 16 plus hour days. Ron's got you covered the times, dollars, and quarters.
Get that bag. Yes. Yes, Rocky. Get the bag.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for
Mm-hmm.
the for the money. At least like Dimes was the least, like because I feel like like I feel like Dimes don't. I mean, Dimes get attention when it comes to like looks, but like when it comes to actual like change, I feel like Dimes don't get a lot of love. Like
Man.
nickels kind of get love because they look like quarters, and you get kind of upset when they're not a quarter when you need a quarter.
Come on. Come on.
But yeah, like you always know what a dime looks like.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, so I appreciate the love for dimes, the
Mm-hmm.
actual currency, and the people too.
True. I mean, pennies is overrated.
Just make sure it gets the time right.
I don't know because this person, I don't know. He pushed the envelope way too much, but he still comes out 10 out of 10. Don't ask how he does it.
Hmm.
He still comes out 10 out of 10. So if you ever were to challenge him to like a food eating contest, you'll probably win. And then say, man, I'm not necessarily full, but I think I can go for another two more rounds. Like what else you got in your refrigerator that needs to get, tossed out? He's the human. He is the true definition of what we call a human garbage disposal that has a literal iron stomach. Like food could be like 4 weeks old. He'll scrape the mold off. Like, oh, it's still all right, and cook it. He's like he. If y'all know who Brahman is from a Martin, yes, he is him in the flesh. He is Brahman. He is Brahman. He'll come in, make a sandwich, and not only will he make a sandwich, but he'll turn around and make a sandwich for your girl because she's sleeping and say, "Hey, wake your girl up, tell her to eat. It's time to eat. I'm out."
And take your girl
Yes.
process
All the
because the sandwich would be just that good.
yes. Yes. You're like, well, dang, like if that's all what it took was to make a sandwich, like I should have been did that. Like too little too late. I mean,
Yeah, gotta do what you gotta do.
just saying. Oh, don't get me started. Listen. Also, thank you to that point. To that point, he's also the definition of what it means to age whiskey beyond its years.
So
Like I don't know how this man does it, but he ages whiskey outside of the barrel and it still tastes good. He ages wine outside of the natural realm and it still tastes good. He's been having it for like 20 plus years. Don't ask how he got it, but still. Yes, destroyer of worlds. No, he's the destroyer of foods. He's a destroyer of relationships. Destroyer of romance. He destroys all of that, and still acts like nothing's happening. That's him. Like, oh, you just broke up because I said you had a nice smile. Okay, whatever. Anyways, y'all love him. Y'all know him. He is the snatcher girl, give her back, snatcher girl, give her back. Just to snatch her one more time and just say like, I'm just doing this just because you let me. Y'all love him. Y'all show some love to Toby. Y'all show some love to Toby.
Thank you. Goodness. Yeah, I feel you. L, what you were saying is like, if I had to be the one to give the intro, I'd be like, well, all right, I'm gonna do something here because it's hard to compare. Destroy your world, eater of world, destroyer of worlds, the living planet, whatever the heck, the larger than life character you want to use. Consume food.
You are him. That's all. That's all. You are him.
She was always his to begin with. There we go.
Hey, clap back.
I was gonna say she just goes to Toby willingly. Like,
Yo.
For real. That's true story.
Exactly. It's a stealing of the. Well, that it sounds terrible to say if the item always wanted to come into my possession. Not calling women items, but it is what it is.
not calling women items, but calling women items.
Apparently,
the not item coming into my possession.
Literally not exclamation mark item. That's not exactly how that works, but I'm gonna pretend. I mean, if it's Python, that's actually how it works because Python just treats all of its objects kind of ridiculously. But, anyways, epistemological argument, epistem. Do I know what that means? I know no, epigen. Nope, that's not. I probably know this word in another context, but not right now.
Yeah, no, I've heard that word. I do not know what it means.
The theory of knowledge, especially with regard to its methods, validity, and scope. Epistemology is the investigation of what distinguishes justified belief from opinion. Oh, we could use a lot of that in politics, and life in general. He grappled with metaphysics and epistemology in his writings and sermons. Interesting. And then it's also compared to ontology, or it's contrasted with ontology. Goodness, yeah, they're going to get to a lot of philosophical stuff. That's where I get a little lost. Like, I took one college philosophy class, and it was interesting, very entertaining, but like that was about it. Oh, and I took an ethics class. I think the previous semester. It was a computer science ethics class, but like we did at one point talk about like weird philosophical stuff, like deontology. We talked about like egalitarianism versus like some of the other utilitarianism. Kind of like very like I feel like basics of philosophy. I was like, what the heck is this? Like, it was a weird class. I mean, I learned some interesting things, but when it came to some of that theory, I was like, oh my gosh, this is not it. In the ethics class, the actual philosophy class was actually really cool. Like, I was really happy to have learned some of that stuff. But anyway, I digress.
Listen.
Also, yeah, Rocky, I remember hearing a little bit before I came on. But glad to see you back. Sorry for the 80 plus hour nonsense. I could not. Gift Shinobi too. I saw that as well. I was like, nope, this isn't it. That should be illegal. Some companies are trying to do 4-day work weeks, and other companies say, F your life. Being to the bones.
And like sometimes when they do the 4-day work weeks, it's like 10 hours a day. And it's like, come on, do you really think people are working 10 hours?
There's no way.
Yeah, it's like you're probably working like 5, 6, and then just goofing off, and for the last 4 trying to do something, and just filling in the gaps.
Yep. I believe that one. Ooh, I believe them days. Them days was horrendous. Like, but we've already done everything. Can we just leave home? Can we just leave early? No, you got to find some things to do to keep busy. Like, okay, don't get mad at me if I'm sweeping the same spot for like the last hour.
I know, it's giving. If you have time to lean, you have time to clean.
There's only so much you could clean in one day, but whatever. A matter of fact, you know what? I'll do you one better. I'll go ahead and I'll clean the trucks. I'll just go for the start. I'll go to the beginning of the line and make my way back, and I'll just clean them until I see my reflection before he gets painted. But yeah, yes. Toby.
Yep.
How was your guys' weekend?
It was. I never remember what I did over the weekend. Not because of alcohol, I just can't sometimes.
Okay.
Oh, I think a friend's birthday on Saturday. I was hanging out, and that was cool. I remember now what I did over the weekend. Yes. So Saturday was my friend's birthday. Her birthday was the 30th, which is the day after my brother's birthday, which is the 29th. So it's like, close out the month because, I try to hold on to March so tenderly because it is the best month, of course. But at some point it has to end, unfortunately. But my brother's birthday being at the end, and he just turned 30, so that was a pretty big thing. I didn't go home just because it was a little too chaotic to try to go to Maryland, but he had a birthday dinner. I feel like it was a pretty normal dinner that my parents do for all of our siblings' birthdays. It wasn't like a special, like, big family affair with extended family. So cool. He did that. My friend though, who lives in Massachusetts, we just went over to her place. She did cook some food, which is nice. We went to the club at some point, or more of like a bar. It's like an African bar restaurant, but it kind of becomes a club on Saturdays. So we went there literally in the last like 20 minutes because I feel like people were just trying to like chill. I was like, I would have gone earlier, but I didn't want to leave everyone until they were like, yeah, let's go. So I was like, okay. So we got in, thankfully, and we got in for free too, which was dope. Then we left, went back to her place, and then it was kind of like a bunch of people went back. So it was kind of like after hours. But then it got really late, and I was like, dang, people really aren't leaving. So I think eventually one of her good friends was like, yeah, guys, it's been fun, but, you don't got to go home, but you got to get the out of here type speech. Because I'm probably at least. And I was like, yeah, people need to leave. Like, and I mean, obviously I'm one of those people, but I'm like good friends. So I was already going to stick around, help clean up, do whatever. But I was like, dang, these people who are probably kind of randoms are still here. And like party done, like party over. There's already like, at that point, I mean, it wasn't even like a real party. It was more of a kickback. And I was like, dang, like, It's kind of like weird though, like to think that it really went from like 2 o'clock onwards because I don't remember time passing so much. But you know, people were inebriated. It is what it is. It wasn't crazy. It was just like cool. But and I hadn't been in like something like that in a while where it was like late hours. We're all hanging out. Usually, if I'm hanging out late, like maybe it's on my own or maybe it's something like smaller. But this was like someone actually kind of planning this in advance, and I was like, oh, this is kind of different. And then Friday, the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, they have what they call late nights, which I've heard of before, but they basically just have like, I guess different organizers. Maybe it's one or two that always do it, or it's different ones. But there's like after hours, the museum kind of opens up. It becomes a bit of a party, but also people can like actually view the exhibits. Like it's like fully open. The Institute for Contemporary Art, or the ICA as we call it, they also do something pretty similar. Where actually theirs is coming up this Friday. It's called First Fridays. We're the first Friday of every month. They open it up until like 1 or 2 a.m. And they open up some of the exhibits. They keep some closed. And again, it's kind of like they have a DJ, music. But MFA Late Nights was lit, and it's a bigger museum than the ICA. So I was like, dang, I've never been to the Museum of Fine Arts ever until then. I admittedly did not go to any of the exhibits. I was there to turn up. I didn't drink anything, but like I had gone on like a food tour of all my like restaurants that gave me free food or like food coupons for my birthday. I've been going to restaurants all week. I went to 2 that day. Like I went to not IHOP, but I went to Red Robin. No, that was a different day. That was Thursday. What did I go to on Friday? I went to Legal Seafood, which is a seafood spot that's local. Like it's like a chain in New England. And then I went to what did I go to after Legal Seafood? Maggiano's, which I mentioned I was going to do last Tuesday.
Right. Yeah.
So I was able to go. My first time going. It was cool. And then after that, that's when I went to the museum. I got there in like the last hour. Thankfully, I was still able to get in. Tickets were still $25, which I think was the price if you paid online. So I was really happy that they didn't like inflate it. And then, yeah. Besides that, what's that say? With the worst bouncer, I can't see him being enough to kick out. I mean, that's the problem when I would like host my own events. Like when I would host events myself, or like have people over my place. It was kind of like hard to be like, all right, guys, everyone's got to go. And so, you know, for better or for worse, it's kind of how it was. But yeah, to do that for someone else's event, I don't imagine being enlisted to be like someone's muscle to be like, yo, you guys got to go. But you know, we work on it. And then Sunday, I think I was just home. I didn't really go out until like later in the night. I think for the most part, I was just home. I don't remember being out for real. I just remember my parents calling me at some point. No, yeah, they called on Sunday. Yeah. And I had a conversation about like moving stuff, and I was trying to like extend my lease and do some other stuff. To hopefully like stay in Massachusetts. Unfortunately, plot twist, didn't work out. So now I really will be leaving end of the month to go to Maryland. So today I had another conversation with my parents as well as texting some of the movers to finalize some information. So yes, much appreciated.
Yes.
So, you know, life is life. Definitely we'll have more updates as the month goes on. It's going to be a doozy. Kind of growing to resent April as a month because of the fact my lease has always been ending around now, and it's always so chaotic. Literally every year since I've been in Massachusetts, aside from my first year where I moved here, but every year since then, it's always been a crazy April, except 2020, but that's because COVID. But anyway, I'll pass the mic. I need to get some water.
No, like my weekend was actually like really fun. So Saturday, was April Fool's Day. And like I was just planning on having kind of just like a chill day. But then my friend, like invites me to the Miami Open. And he's like, hey, I bought you a ticket. Come meet me at my place at like 11:30 or so. And so we can, head over there. So I was just like, really? You want me to He's like, yes, I'm serious. It's like, this isn't an April Fool's. Like, I was like, for sure. I was like, haha, April Fool's, I get it. Yeah. But no, like, he legit bought me a ticket so he wouldn't go alone. And I was like,
Dang.
yeah, say less. I've never gone to a tennis match before.
Yes, Chad.
Right. But yeah, no, like it was fun. It was like we saw like men's doubles and then women's singles. It was like the championship or like the finals or whatever. So you got to see them like get their trophies and stuff. So that was really cool. But yeah, no, it was really awesome. It was a lot of fun. Like tennis is probably one of like the few sports that I actually like. I used to play it like a little bit in high school. But no, like I do want to get back into playing tennis too. And like my friend who bought me the ticket, like he plays tennis. Like he's in like a tennis club and he practices I think like twice a week or so. So I don't know if I want to go all out like that, but I definitely want to get back into tennis. It was super hot out, but fortunately where we were sitting was like shady. I guess like where the sun was. Like we didn't know what the sun pattern was gonna be, of course. Like I sure as hell didn't know. Like we were fortunate enough to like be in the shade. But like there were some people who were like cooking. Like they look like lobsters. Some people like it was so bad. I felt so bad for them because it was like in the 80s. And I was like, okay, it's gonna be cloudy, so I wasn't too worried, but like that wasn't enough. I felt so bad for them. I was like, oh man, poor people. Serves. It's like a way that they hit the ball. I don't know if it's like even when they throw it, if they throw it and they toss it a certain way, but I know like with the racket, if they hit it a certain way, then they can actually like if instead of like bouncing like this, like normally they can actually bounce it like that. So it'll look like it'll be going straight, but it'll actually just go. So that could throw, some people off. Tennis is one of those sports you can be a garbage at, but still, I agree. Then in pickleball. Like my neighborhood has pickleball courts. I've been thinking about trying pickleball. I saw an article. Apparently, pickleball is killing tennis. Yeah, yeah. Pickleball is like the number one sport right now.
The heck?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, like I've been hearing about it like all the time, especially like here in South Florida because it's pretty popular with like old people because it's not as big of a court as tennis. There's like a tennis court, and also like so you can move around better.
Interesting.
And like it's not as like rough on you. I can't remember. So like I don't think it's like it's as heavy or as like harsh on your body as actual tennis. But,
Interesting.
yeah, I guess you can also play it outside. I was thinking like, well, they could just play ping pong, but ping pong, it's like outside, it's just a mess because when the ball, like when you don't hit the ball and it just goes flying somewhere,
Wow.
like it's already annoying playing it in a building.
Right.
So I can't even imagine outside. But yeah, Sunday. Just did some practice again. My boyfriend got me a kickboard, so we were practicing with that because I have like shoulder pain. I've had this shoulder pain like years on and off, and sometimes it comes on. I didn't really know, so I was like, if I'm trying to get into swimming, let me see what is wrong with my shoulder. Like, I'm not saying I'm old, but I'm not getting any younger, so let me, see what's going on with my body, my shoulder. Hopefully, it's like wasn't anything like serious because it's it's one of those things that like it'll be hurting for like weeks and then it'll just stop, and it just it's like okay, whatever. But it's not like it's like a constant pain. It's like it depends on like what I'm doing, you know? And it's like I only notice it like once or twice a day. But I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna be like swimming and like stroking, like I definitely, when I'm not in the water, like I definitely feel it. Um, so I'm like, let me not do that. So I saw a physical therapist for the first time yesterday.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever gone to a physical therapist before.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, like it was actually pretty cool. Like honestly, like, what do you mean? What's the phrasing for? What did I
I
say?
think it's the stroking thing. I guess it's the stroke because I thought of something immediately when I heard the I'm swimming and stroking like or something, and I was just like, huh. And I'd be like, that's more of that's what he said because I was like, it doesn't really work for a girl. But if Chad is talking about that, then I guess there were no bounds. He didn't care. He said, nope, we're gonna use this.
No, I appreciate it because I was like, what the heck is he talking about? So, um, no, because it was funny because like I looked up, like physical therapists near me, and I live in South Florida, so of course there's like a ton of old people.
Mm.
So I was like looking at the reviews, and a lot of them were like, for like old people, like old people reviews. And I'm like, I need like, someone who's like worked with like younger people who like are like, like kind of like sporty and athletic. I'm not saying like I'm those things, but like I have like worked out like that. And I'm also just young, so it's like I gotta the ADHD brain always on the same page. So it's like I gotta like look for that. Also, I was looking for like reviews from like black people, especially black women, because if there's just like a bunch of old people and like my young self comes through, and I'm not saying like I've been told time and time again that I look like an athlete. So if I come in, like a young person who looks athletic, then I didn't want them to like brush me off. So I was like, okay, these people seem to, look like they work with young people. So it's like, what young athletes actually. So yeah, so like I saw him, and it was great. Like my shoulder still hurts because he had to like massage it. He used like some tools. Like at first he like did like some like little like exercises. He'll be like, put your arms like this, and then I'll push, and tell me like if it hurts. I'd be like, no, this doesn't really hurt. This is like, oh, this hurts a lot. So that's why he was able to determine like what exactly was wrong with me. He said like I had like I guess I think it said tendonitis in like my rotator cuff or something like that. And I was like, okay. He said it wasn't that bad. I was like, oh, thank God. Because, like, for having something that's just been on and off for years, I was low key worried. That's like, what if this is really bad? And, I'm about to get like the news of a lifetime. um, and so, yeah, like, but yeah, like it was good. Like when he was like massaging my shoulder, he was like, yeah, you feel like this muscle? I'm like, that's not a bone. That's how tight I was. Like,
Oh snap!
yeah. So I'm gonna go see him again on Thursday. Like, I mean, my shoulder still hurts, so I'm not really like looking forward to that, but I am because of it's, getting my shoulder better. Because after the session, like he tested it, and I definitely felt better. Like not 100%, but it was definitely a massive improvement. But yeah.
No, that's good. I'm glad you got that. I've never been to one. I mean, I guess thankfully, like I've never had like an injury or something serious where I needed a physical therapist, but I haven't even consulted it for other pains and aches. But it's really good that you were able to identify, hey, I need this. I'm going to do it, and start to make progress on those like I guess chronic. Chronic sounds so like like you've had this thing for decades, but it's something that has been going on for a while. So that's definitely important.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I'm low key thinking about just like eventually telling him like everything else that's like it's like because I do have like a hip pain. Like I know like my right hip is like tight. My right knee is like not as good as it can be. And like my right ankle, my whole right side is just It's just, but oddly enough, my left shoulder just it's so I'm like, after that's done, also my neck. I was like, if he can fix things, I'm just gonna just be like, yo, fix all the things, please.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Gotcha. I'm dead. Listen, things have been kind of tame on that end. Well, for the most part, yeah. Like I freeze the meat or whatever. Fine. I haven't really been buying a lot of new meat, so fine. I did just finish some sea moss. Sea moss gel. People talk about sea moss, all the rage. I had a little bottle here that I bought from an event in October. I never opened it, thinking like, it should be fine as long as I don't open it. But I also didn't refrigerate it. And it's not like I explicitly put it in like a cabinet or somewhere dark and cool. I just kept it on my desk. So like if the windows are open, light could get to it. It's always by my computer. And my computer, of course, blows hot air, especially on the left side. And I always keep it on the left side. So long story short, I wasn't keeping the CMOS in suboptimal conditions, or I say not sub, but like I wasn't keeping it in, I guess, like super optimal conditions. But it's fine. I didn't die. I just finished the CMOS basically today. Because you could take like 2 tablespoons for 10 days. And I've mentioned I've had like these like things, like these like containers, these cartons of like, this one's almond milk. I ordered it last year. I brought it with me to this apartment, so I must have ordered it before April of last year. And it does say that it's good till like November, because as long as you keep it in the container, it's fine. You can keep it for 6 months or more. However, November came and passed. So I just started using this last month.
Oh, I thought you meant like November of this year.
Well, I'm saying that I bought these like because I moved to this apartment with these, from what I remember. So I must have bought them around April of last year. And then they were expiring November because, again, as long as you don't open them, the almond milk is fine. You can keep them for like 7 months on shelf life without refrigerating them. However, that 7-month window passed in November, and technically we are now 4 months over in March. But it's fine. I've been drinking these almond milks since, again, last month, because I've been doing inventory of like what stuff do I have that I need to get rid of, food I need to cook. And so I got these almond milk. I bought like cereal sometime early last month to finally use with the milk. I have these coffees, these cold brew coffees in a similar container. Curse you, Amazon, for the treasure truck. You keep selling me things I don't need. Thankfully, the treasure truck went defunct sometime last year, like late last year. So now I don't get pressure to buy things that I don't need. But they would also sell these, which again also expire like a million years later. Actually, I don't think these have expired yet. They expire April 20th of this year, and I got these sometime maybe in the fall. And I have another thing of coffee. These like lattes. I haven't started drinking these ones yet. I think the expiration on these are also like April or May of this year. That's by May 16th. So these are fine. But the point is, I'm like trying to use all these things, and this is like the worst of it, which is like really good because the worst of it could have been actual chicken that was in my fridge for way too long. But these are like things that are allowed to be left for months at a time. They were not open, and they haven't killed me.
I mean, like they told you how long of months, though.
Yeah, these things went to hiding. Like as soon as I got them, they were in hiding. Like I hadn't bought cereal for a very long time, like since like 2020 maybe. So I wasn't habitually in the habit of well, that was kind of redundant, but I wasn't in the habit of eating cereal. So getting these almond milks was just because it's like, it's a deal. I actually like almond milk, even though I haven't drank it at that point in like 2 years. And then, yeah. But it has the extra explanation. Yeah. That's the ADHD too. The freezer broke, but like technically. Oh man. But I'm gonna definitely look at that.
I think that's accurate, Chad. That's an accurate description. Spot on.
Yeah, no. That is hilarious. But hey. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. That's our. Sorry, I was gonna say something like mad and approves.
Who do you think we are? What stream do
I
you
know. I was gonna say now that our mouths have warmed up.
That's not really that bad.
Yeah, it's like this is weird.
I'm dead.
Uh,
Sorry guys, I just kind of threw things into a tailspin.
No, you didn't. You never throw things into a tailspin because this is a perfect time to segue into our topic for tonight,
I love it.
and especially for the overall topic for the month. Um, L, would you do the honors?
well, yeah, now I have to. But I mean, yeah, it was my idea. So figured for this month, we could talk about uncomfortable conversations. Like the topics that you see online or you have with like your friends, your colleagues, spouses, people that you or like conversations you want to have, rather, but you may feel a little nervous or a little scared to. And we're going to, definitely delve into some of these topics within a slightly different angle than probably what you're used to hearing.
Mhm.
So tonight's episode is wherever you're watching. I guess it's most likely down with the Twitch and YouTube. It's uncomfortable conversation starring masculinity and femininity. Um, so Ron came up with the title, like, and I do dig it because it's like, it's like we're pretty much talking about the elephant in the room. So let's bring him to the stage here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, like, let me see how I should start this. Like, because I feel like I'm probably like one of the worst people to talk. Like, anyway. So like, masculinity and femininity, I feel like are like those terms that like we know what they mean, but in order to apply them, it's been getting like really like misconstrued and misused, sometimes used to other people's advantage, to use to others' disadvantages, and it's kind of getting really like muddled and yeah, misconstrued. Same thing. So honestly, guys, I would like to hear your definition of masculinity. Actually, I'd like to hear your definition of masculinity and femininity. Because that's really important, especially when it comes to dating. Like you'll hear people be like, women be like, "Oh, he wasn't man enough or manly," and it's like, well, what's your definition though?
Hmm.
And and of course, like masculinity doesn't have to just always apply to a man, and femininity doesn't always have to apply to a woman, and so on and so forth. But yeah, gentlemen, take it away. What are your definitions of masculinity and femininity?
All right, Toby, you want to go first? You want to go first? How you want to do this?
I wasn't even ready. I didn't even think about that in like anticipation for this.
Did I was like, what? I think we should at least define it so we know what we're talking about, because like it is such a weird like concept. I feel.
No.
It kind of reminds me briefly of
Mhm.
like, how do you define woke? And then people who are trying to talk about woke can't even define it, and then it's a hot mess.
Yeah, it's like I know it when I see it. It's like, do you though, or is it
Yes,
just something that makes you uncomfortable with like a person of a different race? Like.
Oh, that's a preview of things to come. Don't you all worry. We have all month.
Oh yeah.
I think for masculinity and femininity, okay, with masculinity, it's like, okay, the kind of define an answer with an answer is like the kind of quality, particularly positive qualities that men are supposed to have. There's a sort of, it's hard to define, but you can sort of list attributes like there's a certain strength that you have.
Mhm.
That could be physical, but it's also sort of like I don't know, like there's a sort of like, you have a protector sort of vibe. Like you have a sort of like, I don't know, an assuredness about yourself. Like, I don't know, like it's hard to exactly define in a certain way, but you're supposed to, God, if in some ways make decisions rationally, think logically.
Mm.
You're supposed to yeah, like if I had to give a single definition, that would be really tough. But there's certain like you think you know what it is when you see it. And with femininity, well, you have nurturing. I feel like that one almost might be easier. Like you expect there to be a sort of nurturing. There's supposed to be a sort of grace to being feminine, caring, um, not Karen, but that can also happen. Let me see. Anyone could be a Karen or a Kevin. Honestly, it's at this point. I actually just saw a Karen in IHOP. It was interesting. Someone talking about they didn't get free chicken for their kids. Anyway, I didn't. Different story. But I. I mean, that's kind of my definition for now. I'm gonna like look and see what people are saying in the comments, and also kick the ball back to you, Ron. I'll let you say what you need to say, but if I think of something, I'll kind of like ooh, and then add to the definition.
No. Okay.
That I have.
Okay, I dig it.
Okay. So I'm going to travel back into time, probably back into middle school. So about seventh grade, eighth grade.
Mm.
And we watched a video called Tough Guys.
Okay.
But the way how it was spelled, it wasn't spelled Guys. It was spelled Guise.
Oh, okay. Like a
Mm,
guys. Okay.
Okay.
okay. And so in the movie or the video of Tough Guys, basically what we learned about, which kind of falls into the definition of masculinity, is basically that masculinity in its own right is basically going off what Toby said, certain attributes, certain roles, certain expectations that are basically geared towards men. And even then, when you ask a question, okay, so what does femininity mean? It basically means that too, certain roles, certain expectations, certain attributes that's mainly centered around women. And so when you look at those two
Hmm.
in comparison to what society says over the years, it has always been changing. It's always been evolving. It's always been saying like, well, maybe back in 1950, in order for you to be a man, you would have to be working a blue collar job for 40 plus years, and that's it. Not necessarily getting a pension, not necessarily getting a retirement, but you stayed with the company for 40 plus years, and pretty much everybody in your family was supposed to work for such said company. You know, and again, back in the 1940s, 1950s, to a certain extent, true. It is true. It's hard to define. But again, like I was saying before, over time, and especially as society has been changing, is evolving, those two terms have evolved in its own right. So now it's like, okay, what does it necessarily mean now? Because when you put masculinity, as far as the terminology goes, 30 years ago, it doesn't necessarily mean the same thing as of right now. It doesn't. And so now it's like, okay, and even then you push it, okay, well, what about 60 years ago? Does it mean the same thing? To some people, no. It does it. For others, they can still push the envelope and say yes. But at the same time, it's like again, because in a weird way, it's a concept that's been built around and based upon the needs of society. It's going to change, and so the target is not going to be in the same spot. It's going to change. And even then, I mean, even with like a quick Google search, you can figure it out. And if you're like me, you have a dictionary somewhere, you can look it up and see what the actual dictionary entry says, what masculinity and femininity means, or being masculine or being feminine, and see what it means. And so, and again, the reason I say that because I do have a dictionary. Actually, where is my? I'm gonna go get my dictionary. We gonna play this thing smart. I'm gonna go get my dictionary. I will be right back. So,
Okay.
L, I'm gonna swing it back to you, and you can grace us with your thoughts as far as what does it mean to be masculine, what does it mean to be feminine.
Okay.
Take it away.
Sure. Um, I mean, yeah, like, like you guys definitely, like you guys, like, I feel like the definition, like the denotative term for it is just like stuff. Like for masculine, geared towards men, femininity, like traits geared towards, or mostly like in regards to women. So, because that's like a very vague definition, and because, like society has just kind of been changing and people have becoming like more open and just more themselves, the connotative definition has gotten very like, like you can't really put your finger on it. It's like impalpable. Like, it's like it's intangible. So, we've, like it's like one of those like, because it's so vague, it's very easy to just give it a definition that everyone kind of knows and just say that like it's like, okay, we're gonna just call this thing the thing. It's easier to call a thing when it's vague and just let it be that, instead of giving people the opportunity to just really explore and understand and define it for themselves. Because what traits, like what like personality traits and things do make up a woman, and like what personality traits do make up a man, and can you just really apply that to everybody? And like, the answer is no. Like, like I I always hear like the silliest things, you know, like when people are like on the internet, on the interwebs, when people are saying, "Oh, are women becoming more manly? Or are women becoming more masculine?" And it's like, I don't know, what do you call masculine? Like, because we have jobs and we're trying to make more money and we're trying to live. You have to understand that if we didn't have money, we cannot survive. like, have you looked outside? Has anyone gone outside? You see how expensive it is? Like, what do you want us to do? So, and like, it's weird. It's like, oh, oh, women, they got to be doing this and that. Men, they got to be doing like women have to be like cooking and cleaning. Men, they got to be like mowing the lawn and taking out the trash. And like as a single homeowner, it's like, yeah, I have a boyfriend, but I'm not going to sit here and like wait for him to come over to take out my trash. Like, if I do, roaches will, take over my home. Like, but even prior to that, like, I have to change my trash because no one else is here. Like, so like it's just, so it's like, oh, once a man moves in, then he's gonna take care of the trash. I mean, like, yeah, maybe, You know, like if if every time the trash is full, he just happens to be there and happens to notice and happens to change it, or if we like figure something out. Yeah, exactly. Women aren't barefoot and pregnant. Like, and like, also, if you want to have, like you and your partner want to have a lot of kids and, and you can afford to have your partner like stay at home and take care of the kids, and your partner wants to do that or feels that, if you guys both feel it's best, then yeah, by all means, go ahead and do that. It's just like, I don't know, like how people's bank accounts are looking. That's just very difficult.
True.
Energy of action and femininity is the energy of reaction. Um, Explain that, Rocky.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a firm believer that nothing is new under the sun. So I don't really think that women are becoming more masculine and men are becoming more feminine or whatever it is. Like, I just feel as though that because of the circumstances that we are in, when reality sets, we got to do what we got to do to survive.
Agreed.
Right. And also, like, because, we're like, like we have more, I don't know how to say this. Like, we have more like things to do, I presume, like we have more things to explore. So, like you can't just say, oh, men are just naturally better film directors, like there wasn't film 300 years ago. Like you can't just say, like,
Excuse me.
like women are just naturally better at, inventing things or something because like we've invented some things. I think like we invented windshield wipers and like parachute, if I'm not mistaken. I gotta go back and check. But like like windshield wipers haven't existed like 700 years ago. Neither did like parachutes. So like it's just like I don't know. Like it's just like I think that people are just exploring more things and just trying to discover themselves. I do want to say something quickly that there was something I shared months ago in the Discord chat. It was like a conversation between like these like two Black men that I follow on social media. One of them is a therapist, and he was talking about you gotta properly frame it. What?
What
does it mean?
I mean, it's not necessarily wrong.
I guess like I get it now. The director. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Yeah. Of course.
Sorry you had to find out this way, but
yeah. That's probably why like they're just naturally better at video games too, because video games existed from the dawn of time. I'm just so annoying when my boobs get in the way of playing. No. It's weird when guys are like, they just assume I'm terrible at it because I'm a woman. But I'm trying to remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah. So like these two gentlemen were talking, and like the therapist said something that was kind of profound, and it really just got me thinking. But like they were talking about Black men specifically, and like their definition of masculinity and how it's kind of rooted in white supremacy, white masculinity, masculine ideals because of like colonialism, and like how did we even come how do we even form the thoughts of what is masculine, what is feminine? Because like, you know, I don't want to sound like socialist or hardcore leftist or anything, but like the reason why like the whole nuclear family and like the man works and the woman stays at home was pretty much just due to capitalism, because back then like you only needed one income to support a family and to have enough money to pay for a home and everything. Now that's not the case, yet we still are like working towards this when it's like not really possible. Like it's very freaking hard, but we still think that like, oh, women need to stay at home and men need to go out and work. But like we never really talk about like if their wife or was making like 200K, would you be okay with her like staying, would you be okay staying at home? Probably. So it's like, do men really want to work? Because like they want to say that like, oh, women shouldn't be working, blah blah blah. It's like, no, like no one really wants to. like there's probably like hobbies we all like to explore, and hope it'd be great if we made money, but if we didn't have to do that, we would do that. But so the gentleman we're talking about, like what the therapist said, which I thought was just super profound, was like the intersectionality between like individuality and like masculinity, or like individuality and like femininity. And like I just really been thinking about like, because especially being like a Black woman, like a straight Black woman, I'm always thinking about I have the privilege of not thinking about where I stand in like the queer space in terms of like how people will perceive me or anything. Like I'm not like I'm not lesbian or queer, but I never really thought of like, and I never really thought of like my individuality, like that intersectionality. And I guess like I have thought about it, but I just never knew like the terminology, like the word, like, because it's like, oh, the interest, like they always talk about like, like womanism and intersectional feminism and things like that. But I never really thought of like, like, oh, the intersectionality between me, L, the Black person, me, L, the woman, me, L, the Black woman, me, L, the straight Black, like intersectionality between all of that. Because something that I do that is very like not feminine is like I don't wear makeup really. Like I'd probably wear like special occasions. Like Ron's probably the last person who saw me wear makeup. Like really, like that was probably the last time I really did wear it. I don't know if that makes me like more masculine. I don't know if that makes me less feminine. I just know that that's who I am, and I don't really want to change for other people. It's like if I'm comfortable expressing myself, my L self, who is female, who's a woman, who's Black, who's straight, like it's like I can't really be responsible for how other people perceive me. It's just like this is just who I am, and this is just how I'm going to go about the world. But I also can't be naive to the fact of like how I may be perceived by other people, or how I may not be taken as seriously, or or how I may be judged, or whatever, or what have you. So I don't know, like femininity and masculinity has always been very like, I don't like, I guess like I was never really out here looking for like a man. I was just like throughout college, if a guy asked me what I'm looking for, I always say a companion. And like, just a guy who I could just be myself around and, just accept me for who I am. It's not like, oh, he's got to be 6'2", he's got to drive a Benz, he's got to, make over six figures, he's got to do this. And I was like, he's got to know woodworking. Like, no, It was just like, I just want you to be true to yourself, and because I'm true to myself.
Right.
So yeah. Oh yeah, I think I didn't. Gender roles have been around far longer than absolutely they have,
Oh yeah.
and I think that like, well, capitalism definitely, and politics definitely like used gender roles as like a catalyst for certain things. Like how women had to wear skirts in Congress up until 1992, type of thing.
Oh
Because,
wow.
yeah.
That is the strangest thing.
Yeah, they had to like vote on that. It's like, why was that a thing?
Heck.
Like what was going, what was like their belief, or like, but I don't know, reasons. But like, also, what was it? Like like women were able to get their own credit cards, and I think take out a mortgage in 1974. Like, and that was also like, like when Roe v. Wade, like also, was legalized, or became law. Um, and it's just because of like these weird, not want to say weird, but like these archaic beliefs of, oh, the man makes the money. It's like, women couldn't handle a credit card. Like, it's like, it sounds silly, but it's like, it's really the thought process. Like, these are like the conversations that they would be having, like grown adult men who went to Yale and shit. Like they would still have like these immature beliefs, and like there would just be women literally right in front of their face being responsible as hell, because of course, because like, why wouldn't they? Like, and so it's like, it's just it's just like, it just like, blows my mind how like certain things were illegal. Like, I sit there, like I think about it a lot. It's like, wow, really? Like, they were really out here thinking that up until 1970s. It's like, oh, you can't. It's like, you got to be married to have your own credit card. You need to belong to some man. It's a dumb reason to be mad at Hillary for.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It was so mad at Hillary for the pants. Oh wow, I did not know that about the pantsuit.
Like, I don't know how much of a hype there was made about it, but I definitely know people might have been like, just like, oh, why a pantsuit? I even remember in 2008, which was much less. I mean, it was high profile because Obama, of course, was running. But like, I mean, it wasn't talked about the same way 2016 was, where at least also I was younger, so that's definitely a thing too. But I remember even then, maybe my sister, someone was like, why is she wearing a suit? Like, why not like wearing some kind of dress? I mean, I don't know. Like, what are other women candidates wearing? There were many women running for president in 2020, or at least relatively many. And I mean, what were they wearing? I don't remember, but there weren't like, oh my God, Klobuchar and Warren were wearing. I mean, I remember Warren wearing pants whenever she would run up on stage. That was kind of her big thing. Run up all energetic, and I remember her outfit was pretty like slim pants. It's not like people really wearing dresses, so I'm kind of confused. Maybe it's because people aren't necessarily wearing the suits with it, so they might be wearing like pants, but then with like some kind of blouse or some kind. I don't know what people's problem is, to be honest. I think there's better things to do, including real life and touching grass, than worrying about pantsuits. But here we are. But then again, we also were like way too online, which is how we all met. So we were like perpetually online, and then we became friends. So I don't know.
Just saying. But no, just to kind of circle back on a lot of key points. The thing about masculinity and femininity, it's like I said before, it's changing. It's always changing because
Right.
because when you think about what society has to say, it doesn't necessarily line up. And and what I mean is, we'll go back to to the movie that I saw in seventh, eighth grade,
Hmm.
and the way how they portrayed masculinity was um, Arnold Schwarzenegger, um,
Okay.
Jean Claude Van Damme, Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes. Those guys who had like the nice shoulders, the nice broad, strong shoulders, the nice chiseled chest, six pack abs, very athletic, very gun ho. They were extremely driven, action packed. It was those kinds of men that were portrayed as being masculine or the ideal of what you should strive for.
Nope. No noodle arms.
Oh, noodle arms, yes. Oh, thank you, yes. Like the big biceps, triceps, forearms were stupid huge. Like, and again, everything that made you want to be a man, you had to be like physically fit. You had to be like
Yeah.
the top dog. We'll put it like that.
Yeah.
You had to be top dog. If you were anything less than those ideal desired traits, then you were deemed less than. You weren't necessarily a man, but you were less than a man. You flip the other side of the coin because they didn't leave the ladies out. But again, the ladies, they were slim, skinny, that had tiny waist, smallish, medium sized hips. Um, the chest area wasn't too big, but also at the same time they weren't super small as well. Like the arms were small, almost like what would be a good example during that time frame. So like Britney Spears. We'll put it like that. So like 2000, so like the 2000 era of Britney Spears, if you want to go, if to kind of paint a picture like that era as far as the women go, and and again, going back to Elle's point, whereas like you had to wear makeup, you had to have these bright red lips, the blush on your cheeks, and you had to have this long, pretty blonde
Straight.
hair, straight, yes, straight blonde, pretty hair, blue eyes, and just like just for for sake of argument, basically you had to be a walking, living Barbie doll. Throw that out there. You had to be a walking, living Barbie doll. If you didn't meet those ideals, then you were less than a woman.
Hmm.
And so you had these women, you had these men who were striving to reach this yes, before shaved head. Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. And so you had these women and you had these men who are striving to get to be this ideal person.
Hmm.
I'm telling you,
Mm.
I'm telling you that like that's pretty much the best way how I could explain it. The the best way how I could explain it. And so and even then when I was in don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that. Please don't get me started on that. I heard the trailer. I'm like, why? Anyways, anyways, yes, ideal role. But at the same time, when the names that I just said when they were coming out, that was the ideal. That was what society says. Like hey, if you want to be man, you have to be like the Arnold Schwarzenegger. You had to be the Sylvester Stallones. You had to be the Wesley Snipes. You had to be the Sean Connerys. You had to be the oh, who's the other one? Um, Bruce Willis. That's another good one.
Mm.
You had to be
You sure it wasn't Pierce Brosnan? Bronson from
him
the
too.
yeah,
Again, him too. Him
right.
too. Him too. You had to be the Pierce Brosnans. You had to be these high profile guys who took no crap from nobody, and it sucked because you had kids like me growing up like, well, I don't. Will Smith, thank you. That's another one. Will Smith, yes. Will Smith before Jada. Who was another one? Another like black
Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington. Yes, had him. But even then, like Denzel, he was kind of like a special case when it came to like black men because he did the body structure that he had wasn't comparable or on the same playing field as Wesley Snipes. If you want to kind of like think about it like that, like
Right.
we're talking Wesley Snipes when he was playing Blade,
Hmm.
that kind of a body structure. Denzel Washington probably when he starred in Glory with Morgan Freeman, and especially when he got whipped on the back, it was like he wasn't big, he wasn't all that muscular. He was fit, but if you put his body physique next to Wesley Snipes, it paled in comparison. It's like, but that's not ideal. The
Right.
thing is with Denzel, it was more so the mindset that he had. It was more so of
His
I'm going to be like this father figure for you because obviously you may not have one. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Again, he wasn't Denzel wasn't necessarily like that action packed guy. Did he star in movies that were high action? Sure, but he wasn't that action hero. And again, like I was saying before, you go to Wesley Snipes again playing Blade, that's who he was. He was that action hero. He was that guy where it's like big buff, didn't take nothing for nobody, and was just like
You, you
cold.
know, Morris Chestnut,
Yes.
like Tay Diggs, like all those black men from that era. Boris Kojo,
Hmm.
big time. Also, because like his skin tone as well.
Yes.
He was very light skinned.
Yes.
Um, and like that, that's like a whole other topic to talk about. Where like light skinned men are always like portrayed as like the good guy, and then dark skinned men like are always portrayed as like Blair Underwood. Like I forgot what like Medea movie it was. I was like, how did it have Blair Underwood as like the bad guy? He's like, he seems like such a sweet guy. Like, I don't know. I feel like he'd be like a really sweet guy if you meet him in person. But
Hmm.
Interesting.
but
No,
like, I also understand like from the actor's point of view, it's like, oh, it's nice to play a bad person. But I'm like, come on, Blair.
agreed. No,
Yeah.
agreed. 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 And again, it was just
The R&B actors,
Interesting.
Lorenz Tate.
Yeah, that's interesting.
hmm. Hey, Lunicorn, you woke up.
Oh yeah, I think I
Hey,
saw them on your stream once, Ron.
yes.
This past week or whatever, when I was um on some of your streams, I was like, I saw that name.
Yeah, yeah, no. Um she is a really cool person. We play Grand Theft Auto online RP, and she's kind of like one of one of the main people that I interacted with. So she's real cool.
Nice.
Real cool. Yes. Oh yeah. Yes, yes, yes. There's probably going to be like a bunch more people coming in. So just throwing that out there.
Nice.
Nice.
Wow, not you, Lurk. But then again, case in point, I was warned that was going to happen. So it's okay. No, you're good. You are good. Continue to lurk if you desire to do so. Don't worry. You're amongst friends. They're good people. I
Yes.
promise
Yeah.
you. They're good people.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
They
Oh,
are.
you want to share the Discord?
Oh,
Or-
yeah. Uh, let's go this way. Surprised
yes.
Misha's not here.
Bang Discord.
Yeah. Lurkers are always welcome.
Yes. There's even a tag for that too.
Yep. Let's see. Copy. There we go.
Okay.
Got it.
Yes. Yes. No, definitely join us on the Discord. You know, so you can chat and hang with us all week.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh yeah. On Twitch. Haha. Thank you. Boom. There you go.
I think that link.
Did it? Ew. No.
Get sent to Twitch. Or- What's
No.
the other one that says R? Does that go to everybody?
That's
Yeah.
that's the restream.
Yeah.
Because I know, like on StreamYard, it used to like if you send a message out, it'll explicitly say this is going to YouTube, this is going to Twitch, and then back when Periscope was a thing. But I don't think I've ever seen something that just gets labeled R. So I'm wondering, okay, is that like its way of saying it's seen by everyone?
Well, yeah, because I'm gonna switch over to YouTube just to make sure everything is good and golden. Y'all don't mind me. I run damage control.
I do see it on YouTube though. I'm checking the stream right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The link
No,
to
it's just like the link just looks kind of weird because it's like
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
the tilt. Yeah, that is interesting.
I forgot how like they did. It's like it's not the UTM.
Oh, it sends you straight. Okay. So if you're on YouTube, uh, I'm gonna just delete that link because basically what it does, it takes you right back to Twitch in order for you to click on the link to the Discord through the Twitch channel. My bad. I'll take responsibility for that one. My bad.
Yeah. Like I see what's happening. I'm like,
Okay, I didn't even catch that. Yeah, that was a twitch.tv link with
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. It's taking you right into the Twitch to, I guess, hopefully go to the chat.
Nice.
But I don't even see if it's doing
Okay, perfect. Welcome.
a Discord from the Twitch stream I joined.
Yeah, we do need it on
Oh,
the
cool.
in case there's anybody.
Oh, that's interesting. I just realized you're commenting on YouTube, not on Twitch. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, YouTube kind of seems like the hub, honestly. Even though we stream on both, obviously, but
Right.
you're in good hands, or you're in good straits, good corner either way.
Yes.
I love it. I love to see people.
Okay. So, anyways, back to
That might be a question for you too, Ron.
what's up?
L Unicorn was saying, "Oh, which do you prefer?" I have a Twitch. I mean, Twitch has some nice benefits, as I'm sure you know. Like, so getting viewers and like streaming on Twitch is cool. I'm just so preferential to YouTube. That's usually the link I share the most. But Twitch, I think, does have like it is good to get the Twitch numbers up. So I'm never gonna bat away a Twitch viewer, because Twitch is cool. I feel like the more viewers you have, you get noticed for promotions and things like that. So maybe take your pick. That might be my answer. If you want to use Twitch, cool. that's always nice to get more people on there. But take your pick,
Hmm.
whatever you're the most comfortable with. Now back to the question. I was kind of curious because I walked away for a second, came back, and you guys were kind of saying names of these actors. Were you sort of saying what are actors that are typically considered masculine? Like what are rules that are considered masculine? I was wondering like how we got onto Denzel Washington, on Jada, or Will Smith, Morris Chestnut, and all that. Because I realized that
Hmm.
was at the very beginning of how that started.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I'm pretty much doing the pulling up the pulling up the live. Let's see, remove.
He's just gone.
Okay, there we go. Boom. Go back to here. Okay. Ha. Misha's gone. Stay here. So okay. When it came to the the movie Tough Guys, like I was saying before, back when I was in middle school, we watched that, and I was naming off a few of the actors that were featured on there. And so, when it came to the black male actors who were kind of in that superhero mindset or a superhero mode, the only one that came to mind was um oh, I just had his name. Um 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 Wesley Snipes. Okay.
Mm,
Wesley Snipes. And then when we're talking about Will Smith, we were talking about Denzel Washington, Morris Chestnut, Boris Cujo, those type of guys. They weren't necessarily like superhero ish. They weren't necessarily that trait, but they were more so of high action, but not necessarily like your action hero type of um, men. That and that's not to say that if they were ever given a chance to star in an action hero movie, would they excel at it? Possibly. More than likely, yes, they would. But just to kind of give like a comparison as far as the two, they were more so a lot of those movies, a lot of those actors that I named, a lot of times they were portrayed in like I think somebody mentioned like the R&B type of films, like Love and Basketball or The Wood or Best Man. Probably where a lot of them are known for. What's another good one? Soul Food, the TV series,
mm,
or those kind of movies where it's like it kind of made you feel good. They were manly, but they were more so the type of man that was in tune to his emotions, which brings up a whole nother section when we're talking about masculinity, because you have the one hand where you had the men who weren't necessarily tapped into their emotions. They were more so like action packed, grizzly, go ahead and get the job done. But on the other side, when you think about masculinity, you also had those men who, again, nice arms, nice body physique wise, and everything else, but they were more so nurturing. They were more so caring. They were more so loving. They were more so in tune into their emotions. And
Hmm.
as far as that goes.
both superheroes film my generation. We're both literally monsters. Huh.
Yeah,
I don't know
agreed.
much about Blade actually, like at all, story wise, except killing demons. But Spawn, I knew
Hmm.
not from directly watching it or reading comics, but more so like pop culture mashups and kind of comparing Spawn to other people,
Mhm.
Kratos in that case. And so I knew of Spawn in the story, but like, yeah, I kind of like that. Like, you're going to hell, then you're coming back to be like kind of redeemed, but not really, like Ghost Rider esque.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is interesting. Um, I never got any good vibes from any of the men in Soul Food. I don't know. Honestly, like you mentioned it, Ron, but I was like, Soul
Yeah.
Food. I don't know. This might have been
Yeah,
like
I don't know Soul Food.
I
Well,
just missed it. I know of like good like Best Man. I can't pretend that I've watched. I've probably seen clips of Best Man Holiday, and all that. I know I've
mhm.
definitely seen what was it? How Men Think. That one was. It's not recent now, but at least it was newer at the time, like when I was in college in 2012. So that one was like a little bit newer compared to like older
Do you
movies.
mean think like a man, act like a lady? Or
Oh yeah, I think How Men Think is a different movie. That one was actually more recent. That one I think was with Regina.
oh, a Taraji P Henson? Or
Yeah,
like
that was Taraji P
oh,
Henson.
okay.
I meant Think Like a Man, Act Like a Lady, or I forget the full name of the movie. There was the title of Steve Harvey's book, and then there's the name of the movie, and then all of that stuff. That movie I saw with some friends in college, and so I remember that. But like I kind of
Mm.
missed the whole era of earlier 2000s and 90s movies. Um,
Yeah,
but
that sounds like that would be
oh,
good.
okay,
Oh
I'm about
yeah.
to. I know some documentary fiends of mine, some friends of mine who love their docs, so I'm definitely gonna put that one out there. Thank
Hmm.
you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
more.
Anything like a man and watch the movie. Interesting, man. Yeah, there's so much out there. Like so, like when it comes to some portrayals, I miss some popular ones where it's like and what was another big one that I just thought of with like macho men? I mean, Rambo, however you pronounce
Rambo.
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 Like you have so many of these movies where you kind of think of like, oh yes, this guy,
Hmm.
this is the man. He's surviving apocalyptic times, or it could be maybe more of like Protector Man. Um, Lincoln Heights, which my friend who was subletting, and I've heard my roommate recently watching. Lincoln Heights was a fun show. I mean, it's obviously very dramatic. Black police officer going back to his sort of crime-riddled hometown, and I mean, he
Mhm.
screams the masculine with like you see scenes with his shirt off and the wife beater. He has the wife, and he's like
Hmm.
literally taking care of his family, fighting like the gangsters and everyone else. And so that's another portrayal. But I mean, he very much does have the emotions because a lot of times you see those family men as strong, which is kind of bringing the point of like the being emotionally vulnerable, or like what you said, Ron, about like
Hmm.
you have the emotions. Like that's a whole nother kind of perspective where a lot of the strong men are strong not just because they're fighting off monsters in apocalypse, but because they are protecting the family, willing to sacrifice the family, willing to
Hmm.
sacrifice for the family,
Hmm.
and whatnot. Mr. Darcy,
Mm.
interesting. Gosh, brings me back to like my days of hating Pride and Prejudice because my family would want to watch it and use the one TV that we had instead of us playing video games. But then as I got older, I was like, oh, this is actually kind of hilarious. I have to go and watch it again for myself, the 6 miniseries. But when I watched it in like high school or early college again, I was like, oh my gosh, I missed a whole bunch when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'm sure I missed way more now that like I'm even more grown if I rewatch it. But and I guess Mr. Darcy is a portrayal. I don't know. I have to go back. They all kind of like were trash in different ways. I guess except Mr. Bingley, was that the one who was with the sister? She was with the blonde woman. I think he seemed like a decent man from what I remember, but there might have been an
Hmm.
issue. Most of the men were not great. Even Mr. Darcy himself messed up, but then he redeemed himself at some point. Um,
Right.
Yeah. I do like how you were bringing up like these movies and these characters around because like that is how a lot of us get our like our portrayals and our
Hmm.
ideas of what masculinity and femininity and like how people are supposed to be quote unquote are how they're supposed to be like whether we want to deny it or not like it does have an effect on us in some way
True.
shape or form.
True.
Like it's why I don't know like I can't remember which president or like I think it was like an FBI agent. I can't remember like but like they heavily um I guess like pressured or worked with like the film industry to make police officers and police shows look good. And like that's why
Mm.
you have like this portrayal of like police being good when Yeah. So
No, you're right. No,
it,
you are absolutely correct.
it,
Yes.
and,
Yes.
and it's also why a lot of police officers get into that line of work as well. Because of
Mhm.
like what they saw on TV, then they realize it's not the case. And
Dick
yes,
Wolf. Yes.
big
Hmm.
time, big time.
Oh yeah, big time. Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And even then, just to kind of
I don't know what are interesting.
to push that a little bit further. Um, when you think about, because I know I named a lot of the men as far as masculinity goes, from both like action packed to like your love stories and your feel good stories. I still want to mention the feminine aspect of that same thing as well,
Mhm.
because again, a lot of women who who were growing up, and again, they were trying to find a way. Not to say, and please don't take this the wrong way. Please don't take this the wrong way. When most women, especially young girls, when they were growing up, of course they played with Barbie dolls. Like that's one thing. But to kind of see what type of woman they wanted to be, a lot of times, not necessarily, they will, of course, they'll look at home. They'll look at mom. They'll look at auntie. They'll look at the women that were inside the home, more or
Older
less.
sisters.
Older sisters, correct. They'll look to them. But once they started watching television and started watching movies, then that kind of shifted a little bit, because now it's like, okay, I see a good one, a good heroin for that, not the drug. Please don't get it twisted. Not the drug, but like a good heroin would be Sigourney Weaver. If I can pronounce her name right, Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Alien series. She smashed it. She smashed it. She has that one on lock. There's no better portrayal of, I'm gonna say, Captain Riley than her. She smashed it. She got that down point, and she was courageous. She was fearless. She was that protector. She was
A problem solver.
uh, yes, a problem solver. She was smart. She was clever. She was witty. She used her resources that was disposable to her, and she, at the end of the day, she was a survivor. She was a survivor. And even when it came to, protecting her daughter from the alien queen, like she went toe to toe. It's like, you're not going to take my child. Like, you can take anybody else. I don't really care about anybody else, but you touch my daughter, if you want to get my daughter, you got to get through me. And so she basically harnessed that mama bear feature in most women, because you talk to most women who have children, they're like, I don't care about anything else in this world, but if you touch my kids, I'm gonna hurt you, you know, flat out. There's no if and buts about it. Um, another like another action star that was a woman that kind of gave light to being like a strong, independent woman, as far as like fighting goes. I would say I would go with Jamie Lee Curtis in the Halloween series. I would go with Jamie Lee Curtis. Because again, she was a problem solver. She was independent. She was strong. She was smart. She was witty. Again, she was a survivor. She did everything possible that she could to stop Michael. Everything possible. And even then, it was like, okay, if this doesn't work, you know, yes, John Carter's mom. Yes, yes, yes. Another good one. Another good one. Strong, independent. But she was kind of crazy. She was kind of crazy, but she had a legitimate reason why. She had a legitimate reason why, because even in the original Terminator movies, before John Carter was born, in the original Terminator movie, you know, she was she was the type of woman where it's like, okay, if my man, if he's gonna get into this fight, I'll be getting into this fight with him. I'm going to help protect him just as much as he protected me, because we don't want our child to die. We don't want, this alien entity to rob us of our baby. Like, no. Yes, Xena. Oh yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Xena, warrior princess. Again, another the other side of femininity, where it's like this strong, independent warrior, fearless, courageous, like all of that. And so again, instead of being like, well, I don't necessarily want to be Barbie. I want to be I want to be like Wonder Woman.
Mhm.
I want to be like Xena. I want to be like Superwoman, Supergirl, Batwoman, Batgirl,
Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon. There you go. There you go. But I have my issues with Sailor Moon.
I know.
I have my issues with Sailor Moon, because even though, yes, she was this wonderful woman, but at the same time, she also brought in the other side of wanting to be loved, wanting to find love, wanting to fall in love with her quote unquote Prince Charming.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she still wants to save the world from the evildoers. So it's kind of like she kind of brought in like that weird mixture of both realms, to sort of speak, where she wasn't necessarily helpless, like she could defend herself, but at the same time, she still wanted to pursue love in the
But
name of, yes. And so it was kind of like, okay, I get this and I get that. It is just kind of, it is. I want to say it's weird. I wouldn't say it was weird.
I, I agree with what Chad said. Like, so, but like, I was thinking about, the Sailor Moon and like the show, just like earlier this week or something. And
Hmm.
what I like when I think back and like what I like about her, at least like, like the English dub version that we all grew up on, uh, Sailor Moon Serena, like she was flawed, like she had really bad grades. I think like she would like skip school sometime to go play at the arcade. And like,
Yes.
like she had like a massive sweet tooth and like, and like it was just like, but like, yeah, she was, like a kid, she was a teenager. So like she was just doing these things, it was like the
Hmm.
whole, creation of like the whole like magical girl sort of thing.
Right.
Like when I think about like the other Sailor Scouts, especially Sailor Jupiter, who oddly enough, like growing up, she wasn't my favorite. I think it was like she was like my brother's favorite. So I was Sailor Mercury's favorite. I mean, I like Sailor Mercury. You're from Pokemon, was it? Yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
Also,
yeah.
but like the thing about like Sailor Jupiter, I feel like I kind of relate to her the most because she's very much in between like masculinity and femininity. Like she would be like training with like a monk that she ended up having like a crush on, like meditating underneath like a waterfall. Like she would like, like she was like doing karate or martial arts rather. Like she was
Hmm.
strong. Like she lived on her own. Like she cooked.
Hmm.
Like she like took care of herself. But she was also like a high school teen girl and like also was like hormones wanted love too, but she was also just like a badass.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
so, like it was like like I feel like out of all of them I'm like kind of like more so like her.
Oh yeah. No, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can
Yeah,
see that. I
like
can see
but
that.
I felt like that was kind of like the whole like tomboy thing, which was like, it's like I guess I grew up just believing I was a tomboy. Like I don't really know what a tomboy even is anymore. If people even use that term anymore, but like I know it's like a girl who likes boy things, like like video games, like sports, like play sports, watch sports. I feel like she can kind of be thrown into like the girl next door archetype sort of thing sometimes. But I don't know. But yeah,
No, I get you, and I'll use my daughter as an example. Um, she is the type of girl that she does not mind playing video games. She
mhm.
doesn't. She actually likes it. She actually likes it. She likes to play basketball. She likes to play soccer. So she's into sports. And I guess the one thing that she enjoys is painting her fingernails. And she does a fantastic job. She does a fantastic job. And so just kind of thinking about that, it's like, yeah, she has her girly tendencies, but for the most part, she's more so tomboy. She doesn't necessarily like to wear dresses, but if she had to wear a dress for like a special occasion, she would.
Yeah, that's
But
me.
but as soon as that special occasion is done, she's taking it off and she's hanging it up somewhere, and it's not being touched until God knows when. And even then, she was talking to me and her mom, and she's like, I want a pantsuit. Like, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. There's totally nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of women who would rather wear a pantsuit than the traditional like um,
Long skirt, I guess.
long skirt, like yeah, or like the suits where it's like you got the matching top and the bottom, but the bottom's like a skirt more or less,
Yeah.
and like a nice blouse. She's like, no, I'd rather take a pantsuit. And so like, okay, whatever. You look to see what kind of pantsuit you want, and whatever you like, we'll make sure we'll try to do the best to get it. But that, and again, that's her.
Mhm.
That is her. Um, my mom, she's more so the girly girl, the traditional girly girl, where it's like likes getting her hair done, likes getting the nails done, likes putting on makeup, likes getting dressed, likes to dress up, likes to decorate, do this and that. Like she's like your girly girl. Like, yeah, okay.
So there was a lot that happened. And I was following the conversation about like being tomboy and all that. And that's actually a good point, actually. I didn't even think about that. Is that sort of like blending? Girls definitely have that categorization. Guys don't always exactly have that categorization.
Right.
Like you might talk about
Mhm.
style being like metrosexual if you're really, really into like how you look, you wear your tight clothes, but that's like very specific on one
Mhm.
aspect of it. And I don't hear the word metrosexual used a lot casually. I heard it once in high school, and then I heard it other times, but not regularly. Well, tomboy is a very normal part of the lexicon. But on this chat, there's two things. This back and forth, I'll back up. I will for sure back up Rocky because I enjoyed Cora. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna sit
same
here,
here.
I'm not gonna sit here and say some slanderous nonsense like it was better than the original, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
like there were problems. I get it. They really didn't know they were gonna have multiple seasons, so they did way too much in the first. But a lot of people argue that that was the best season, even though they packed way
Mhm.
too much into it. A lot of people thought Amon was the best villain. I'd say Zahir might be. Amon and Zahir probably are the two best. It's kind of hard to say which one's better. Um, But I like season 3 a lot. Zahir did like that whole entire thing with the Red Lotus was really, really good. Season 4 was fun, but it was also kind of just like apocalyptic robot takeover. I wouldn't say robot. It wasn't a robot takeover. It's more of just like
Metal benders.
Say it again.
Metal bender takeover.
Well, it was how like Kuvera was using like that technology to create laser beams, and it was the most destructive force even from the original. I mean, Ozai and the Firebenders were something, but like a giant laser shooting thing is like pretty hardcore. Like there was no hope. I feel like it reminded me of something else I was watching where it was Kung Fu Panda 2. Because I never watched Kung Fu Panda 2 or 3. This is a small segue, but I watched the 2 and 3 like a month ago because I wanted to catch up on some movies I'd never seen. And so I watched Kung Fu Panda 2 where the peacock was the main enemy and he was using essentially cannons to nullify Kung Fu because I guess cannons, just kill you with fire and metal and you can't Kung Fu against it. I don't know. I mean, the reasoning was a little shaky, but like he was able to sort of dominate areas with these cannons. And it kind of reminded me of season 4 core where like you have these more traditional Kung Fu based and like, Kung Fu or whatever based techniques. And then someone comes with like this invention and it just kind of steamrolls. Now, that aside, back to something in the chat. Chad, you mentioned John Carter's mom. Well, I guess Rocky mentioned first. I'm ignorant because I didn't really know John Carter. Apparently, it was a whole thing that happened in 2012, and I don't know. I assume that it was based on something.
Terminator.
What?
Terminator.
The movie that I looked up was talking about this guy who woke up on Mars, and there was a whole bunch of stuff. I'm very confused now. But I also never watched Terminator.
No. I'm sorry. That might be a whole different movie. Her name was Connor. Sarah Connor. My bad. I'll take the L for that one. I'll take the L for that one. I got my movies mixed up. Yeah.
I'll hold a few L's because one, I never watched Terminator. It's on the list. I never watched Alien or Predator, also on the list. There's a whole lot of kind of classics that I just never watched. So when I saw John Carter's mom, I was like, I've heard John Carter. I looked it up. 2012 movie, apparently lost a lot of money. Like one of the worst movies in terms of grossing, not like reviews, because it actually was rated around like 6 point something stars, which isn't terrible considering it lost like $200 million. But I looked up John Carter mom and I started seeing something about ER. I was like, there's no way we're talking about ER. That's like a show that I'm guessing is similar to Grey's Anatomy. While John Carter is more in the realm of the movies we've been talking about, sci-fi, sort of like a hero. But there was no character that was called John Carter's mom in this John Carter movie. Oh, okay. Now that answers questions because I really did some research on the side and I was like, I'm very confused because I've never seen John Carter the movie, but there was not a mom in that movie. And then okay. So it's a good thing this happened because Ron, you were correct, even though you also said the wrong thing. But you guys were in the wrong wavelength together, which is actually pretty amazing.
Wrong wavelength.
That's actually kind of amazing.
Wrong wavelength.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Oh my gosh.
So that was my ADHD brain trying to wrap all those things up together.
No, okay.
Same guy who wrote Tarzan. Wait, are you laughing, Chad? Because Kung Fu Panda 2, I made the analogy of that being similar to season 4 of Korra.
No, that was hilarious. I'm sorry, because
I don't know if you guys have seen Kung Fu Panda 2 because no, you should watch it. It's actually very dark. Like I don't want to spoil it if you don't, because I didn't know anything about the story until I was watching this show, which I won't name right now. But they compared pop culture characters and make them fight to the death, and they were making Iron Fist and Poe fight. And so I started seeing some of the backstory to Poe, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't know about any of this. Because they started off with some tragic backstory about his parents being slaughtered, and I was like, what the heck? And then I was like, okay, maybe I should stop this video and go watch Kung Fu Panda 2. So then I went and watched Kung Fu Panda 2 and 3 because I didn't want to spoil like how much he grows by watching this video. And so, yeah, no, it's actually like crazy. Like I was like, wow, they got really dark with the backstory in Kung Fu Panda 2. And I was like, wow, I didn't know the franchise. I knew that they had a 2 and a 3, but I just never, even when they came out, I didn't really know that they were in theaters. I just only saw Kung Fu Panda 1. So I was like, wow, I was really sleeping on this series. Like, I watched 1 or 2 episodes of the TV show, Legends of Awesomeness. Didn't really care for it. Not anything bad about it, just at that point in my life, I wasn't really watching TV that much. And I wasn't going to really keep up for Kung Fu Panda. But yes, great franchise. Now let me kick the ball back.
Like, talking about Legend of Korra and like the Avatar franchise made me think about, good examples of masculinity, like especially from, The Last Airbender. So like Zuko's Uncle Iroh, like,
Yes.
I feel like he's always regarded as like a great example of, just masculinity, like embodied in a man, like, because I feel like one thing that we always tend to forget about, and I guess in terms of, just positive traits, like if we're going to like, put these labels into the masculinity box and the femininity box. And I feel like, we have men are supposed to be protectors, but like, in order to be a protector, you have to show trust and safety. And, like being mean, being aggressive, being cruel doesn't make anyone feel safe. The uncle that everyone deserves. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
He
It's
had
like,
wisdom.
yeah, like he was, definitely a problematic badass back in his day. And he learned from his ways. And he, I feel like he always like kept, he learned different, like, better morals and, just, yeah, like, he always just kept true to himself. He never got like super angry, but he was stern when he needed to be. And he helped turn Zuko from like this one-track minded like just asshole who like you just did not like at the beginning. Like you just couldn't, like when like when he still has his hair up in the ponytail, it's like, oh my goodness, like go away, Zuko. Like but like, it's like when he like, cuts his hair and start, like lets go of himself and, it's like starts to try to find himself separate from his father, trying to earn his father's like, love and respect. I feel as though like Zuko's also another, well, I feel like all the men, like, Aang too is a great example of masculinity as well. But like, Zuko, he started out as like this eye on the prize, just hothead, just, you don't want to be around him. Like, and yet like sometimes people want to be like, oh, that's masculinity. Like they, like they sneakily try to say like, that's what it should be when it's like, no, nobody liked you. Like nobody liked him. Nobody liked him. But like how the person that he just grew into, despite like, being from the Fire Nation, being like the son of like the Fire Lord, like Prince, and ended up joining Aang's team, earning his trust, showing that he is like a safe, understanding person, and teaching Aang firebending, in order for him to defeat his own father. Like, because Zuko knew at the end of the day, it's like his father needed, like, for the greater cause, for just peace. Like this is what needed to happen. And, that takes a lot. Like nowadays, the masculine archetype would never let Zuko talk shit like he did. That was so necessary. Man, who was the younger? Yeah. No, that's a good point. Like, like letting Zuko like find his way, but like, I feel like, Iroh still kept the guardrails on him.
Yes, I agree.
Like,
I agree.
yeah. Yourself get betrayed. Like, but like, Zuko was able to, come to terms with that and like see what was, what needed to be done. Like
Hmm.
like how he was treated wasn't good. Like, he got his scar from his dad, like, and a lot of, young boys, to be fair, being like that either, but he was, but he was, but I don't know if it's not about like being liked, but like being like safe. Yeah, if you're supposed to be a protector. Beta. Like, like like the abuse and the mistreatment he got from his own family, and like feeling like he needed to like prove himself or do something. That's something that especially like a lot of men go through.
Hmm.
And like that's definitely like another topic in terms of like mental health.
Hmm.
Like mental well-being and knowing that you are enough despite like unfortunately what your whole family may be saying, which is like
Right.
unfortunate. And then like you have your sister who's like a prodigy and just has your father's approval and love. And she's crazy. Like nobody likes Azula either, even though she's a badass. I'm not gonna deny that. But like, she's just like way too much, and she doesn't know who she is either. His uncle and his father. Yeah.
Use people.
I'm going to circle back while you're posting up, while you putting up
Yeah.
the the comments. The one thing that you said made me think about Todoroki from My Hero
Yeah.
super hard. Made me think about him super hard. How he was trying to win the approval of his father, but also at the same time he was also trying to find himself. And I
Mhm.
think when him and Midoriya fought, and Midoriya's like, "Hey, listen, you need to let go of this notion that you need to please your father, but do this for yourself. Like, if you're not willing to go all out on me, then clearly you're not really cut out to be a hero at the end of the day." And so it was like that. It was that moment where it's like, oh snaps! Like, you mean to tell me that I can use both fire and ice, and even though it may not be pleasing to my father, it's not up to me. Like, dude, yeah, it's not up to him, but it's up to me. It's like, dude, yeah, like you have the sweetest combination of your mother and your father. Like, use it to be better than him, anyways. Like, go for it. And so it was, and then again, especially when how Todoroki got his mark on his eye, it was like, yep, yep, I see that clear as day, clear
Mhm.
as day. But again, going back to I think it was Chad. I think Chad was saying this. Um,
Right. One of the things I love with what Midoriya said was like it's your quirk too. Like
yeah,
it's part of you. Like whether you like it or not. You gotta. It's like it's like what it's like you're cutting off your nose to spite your own face.
right,
Like you have this incredible power and you're not using it. It's like yeah, you hate the person that it's from. Like you hate like he just wanted your mom simply for her quirk in order to like have like a perfect combo baby, and you happen to be the perfect combo baby.
right,
But it's like
right.
you're here, it's like you can't you can't
Agreed,
like
agreed,
it's part of
agreed.
you whether you like it or not. And so it's like you should just use it how you would have, like not just how you wanted your father to, but like use it for you, because there's nothing
Mm-hmm.
wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Like, there's nothing
Agreed.
wrong with you for existing how you exist.
Right. It was Rocky who said this. To be fair, masculinity isn't about being like either, but he was a butthead. Immediately when he said that, I immediately went to Bakugo. Immediately went to him because again, he's this hothead that nobody necessarily really likes, but they, in a weird way, they respect him.
Yeah, like
And
they accept
so,
him for who he is.
yes,
He's that flaming asshole who is good at what he does. Like he is.
yes, yes. And so, I think that the one exchange that, yeah, I agree. I agree.
Hmm.
I think the one exchange that kind of solidified um, Bakugo was when him and Midoriya fought, and even then during that fight, it was more so about like, okay, I want to know why so and so picked you and not me, because you've always been this wimpy kid and you've always been the most easiest person to pick on, and you're just in his eyes a weakling. And so in a way, like Midoriya basically had to put him in check, even though he's still, my book, he's still technically lost. But he was
Hmm.
like, listen, like it's not about, you know, necessarily how strong you are physically, but it's more so how strong you are mentally, and how you um um hold on, pause, stop, rewind, stop, play. Okay, get it together, brain. It was more so about your mental fortitude, and how far are you willing to go, and how far are you willing to push your body past its own breaking point. Like, are you willing to sacrifice yourself in order to save the greater good? You know, are you willing to put yourself on the line, and say at the end of the day, you gave it all that you got? And if you are able to say that you gave it all that you got and still be able to walk away for it, then no matter what happens, that's still a win in your book. Still a win in your book. So there's some there's a lot that goes on, and especially when we're talking about this topic in this conversation, there's a whole lot that goes on, a whole lot. Mm,
Yeah. You about to say something?
Um, I guess I was just trying to think of like, you know, if there was like some positive female or like feminine roles of, I guess, women being more like, I guess, traditionally or stereotypically like feminine.
oh
You
yeah.
Or like, yeah, but it's still like, like in a positive way, like, because, it's like, okay, someone that you can still like look up to or like aspire to be, but like not lose your own self and not just be like, I don't know, like essentially controlled or abused by a man is pretty much what
I
I'm.
got you one. I
Okay.
got I got you one. Asuna from Sword Art. Asuna.
Okay.
Asuna. Like if you wanted to have like a very positive, up to date, um, feminine woman, Asuna. Any day. Any day. And even then, the reason why she comes to mind is, even though yes, when she started off, she kind of started off like this. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm gonna go with Asuna. Oh yeah, we could debate this one all day. I got time. Oh, I got time.
Because I definitely have something to say, but go on.
Yeah, I would go with Asuna because again, when she started off, she started off very much unsure. She no again. You got to let me explain. You got to let me explain. When she started off, she started off basically like unsure about herself, not necessarily fully confident in herself, things of that nature. Okay, when she got into um what is the name of the group? What is the name of the group? And she basically rose to the top and was able to carry her own weight. Again, just season one, when she was able to carry her own weight, it was like, okay, she's able to do it. But even then, her
Interesting.
don't get me started on her.
I have some
Like from
Harry Potter.
yeah, I was thinking of Orihime, but that's from a different show.
Oh Lord, have mercy. finally, I was gonna say, finally, I can follow along because I have not seen most. Like, I can't pretend that I've even seen most anime. Like, I know Sword Art. I've seen the first episode. I've never seen My Hero, so I know these characters of My Hero. But this is actually great. This is actually wonderful because I really did think about like 100 anime characters, but only from the anime I've seen. So I'll let y'all continue on, and I'll jump in with my like take.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
are you? You can.
Okay, I gotta get myself together. I gotta get myself together. This is hilarious.
That was hilarious.
This is hilarious.
Positive role. Positive. Like my take was like, okay, now find me a show where the writers were women, where the creators were women.
He said, "Find you a show that." Oh my gosh,
like
that would all probably have to Google. I will
Yeah.
probably have to. I will probably have to Google. But you know what though?
Ooh, I know one. Where it's like kind of like traditional, but like still, positive in a way where like you can actually like I guess like girls or women like me could actually like look up to or like, find something.
Mhm.
I would say first season of Bridgerton, Daphne. I know you probably haven't watched it. Great show, really sexy, but how the women of the Bridgerton family are written, like they're very, like they're very intelligent and like
Mhm.
they're not just like looking for a husband just because that's what they're just supposed to do. Like yeah, they're looking for a husband, but like kind of like on their terms, not just
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
oh he's rich and exists. But like what also makes it interesting is that they were primarily raised by their mother though, because like like their father died while they were a lot of them were really young. There's like 8 of them, but a lot of them were like quite young when the father died. So like they were raised by the mother who was the viscountess, who's like an important person in no, it's not royalty. It's like I don't know. What the term is. Where they have like dukes and
Yeah, these like important
Mm.
families or however you want to call them.
yeah, maybe it's royalty.
Nobility, maybe.
Yeah, yes, it's like something like that, like nobility. Yes, exactly.
I saw the first episode. This was sometime last year. I watched the first episode, and then I just didn't keep going. Like it wasn't bad. It was actually pretty entertaining. I think that when I first watched it, though, I was watching it with someone who fell asleep, and then I was like, okay. I started to fall asleep, and then the next day I went back and watched it. I was like, okay, cool. I actually found this entertaining, and then I just didn't continue. I don't know. I'll go back and watch it. but like I didn't get past the first episode of the first season.
Right. Like, and you know, it's fun. Like, I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, I don't know why. Maybe because the men were gorgeous. I don't know. Possibly that does keep my attention on things. But like, you know, there was, you know, steamy scenes and gorgeous men. But yeah, I would say, you know, if you're still trying to go more of like a, you know, like a quote unquote traditional like role as a woman, and you know, like because like the women, of course, like had opinions and personalities and flaws, and you know, like actually like went through things and like or like you know took control of certain situations, you know, and you also like, of course, this is, I guess, supposed to be taking place in like the 1800s or something. It's not like real history, you know, it's historical fiction, but you know, it's just like what the women can do. And like, you know, there's a character named Eloise who is like very feminist and progressive for like her time, you know, like so like it's just really cool like how, you know, like these kinds of women who aren't often like portrayed in like these kinds of like aristocracy types of like shows and things like that. Region era, thank you. Region era women controlled, really? How do they control?
Okay, okay, I can see that one.
How much of his success she was responsible for? Oh, yeah, let me think of like mothers that were, you know, like I feel like even like if you saw like the movie King Richard, the woman who played Richard's wife, like still like you know because like they were Jehovah Witnesses, so like it was like you know pretty traditional, and you know like and it, you know it's like inferred that you know he probably like you know cheated on her or you know something, but like you know she stayed because of like her devotion to God, and you know it's like something that's greater than him, you know, than you know Richard. Like I'm doing a terrible job of recounting this particular scene, but you know it's like okay, it's not she's not just here for her husband, like she's here, you know, for something greater than her husband, which I personally find to be, you know, it's just like I guess like more of like a independence sort of thing, like you know, just independent thought. Like okay, like I'm not just relying on this man to give me information on how to think and you know what you know how to feel, what to cook, how to parent. It's just like no, I'm doing this because of you know my Lord and Savior. I think it was Peggy Olson from Mad Men. That was one of the yes, yeah. If you watch Mad Men, she starts out as Don Draper's. Who's he played by? I can't remember his name. But you definitely know John Hamm, and she starts out as his secretary, and John Hamm's character Don Draper is known for like pretty much always sleeping with his secretary, so he's constantly getting new secretaries, and or like so Peggy starts out as a secretary, is a great secretary, then like she actually works her way up, you know, and like this one man at the company like kind of has faith in her, and like he starts to you know he helps her get like a better position at the job, which is like you know the show's set in like the 50s and 60s, and I think it ends in like the 70s, so like a woman you know making, I think she was making like $300 a week, it's like unheard of, but like she's always like when she goes on dates, so she's always getting like put down or seen as like lesser than, not because of how much money she makes, but just simply because she's a woman, so they just assume that she's just not like this badass money making chick who works at like a major advertising firm and like whose input matters and it's like doing things. But well, the main part was a woman definitely still strongly patriarchal. Oh, like in terms of the home or like John Pork. Shut up. Miriam from Marvelous Mrs. Maisel's fascinating in terms of her portrayal of femininity. I agree. Yeah. If you've ever watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, it's on Amazon Prime. It's about a stand-up comedian woman from like I want to say the 50s or 60s again, which I've never actually looked into this, but I don't even know if if like it was a woman stand-up comedian. Like there probably were, but you know, clearly, like I mean, even to this day, it's like more of a male-dominated field.
Mm-hmm.
So she went and did it, and you know, like she was like just fantastic at telling jokes and speaking in front of an audience and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like they still like clubs and you know venues would still try to like you know shush her or curtail her jokes or like you know kind of kick her off the stage if she starts talking about lady things like pregnancy or things like that, like whatever gets the men in the audience uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like their wives would be laughing because like they can relate to having a baby, you know, and taking care of things and blah blah blah. But the men were like, I guess, just stone faced and I guess felt uncomfortable. So you know, if they feel uncomfortable, then it's like you just got to stop because if I feel uncomfortable, everyone must feel uncomfortable, right? Like if I feel uncomfortable, that this is something that needs to end. It's like no,
No,
something.
just you.
Yeah, and you need to explore why you feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was reading some of these comments. I'm definitely gonna have to go back because I heard of like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I've heard of some of these, and actually the person that you were just talking about, Al, because I think I missed a little bit of the context because I had to step out. But who was it was a comedian, a female comedian, and who was doing stand up. Is that the context of what you were talking about? I realized I had no idea who this.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Yeah, she's Miriam Maisel.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, my bad.
Okay, I thought you had.
Yeah, I should have said that.
Got you. No, I had no idea you were referring to the comment. I haven't seen Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but that was one of the ones I remember when it came out, and I remember when there was like commercials for it, and it seemed like, I was like, okay, some kind of whimsical, fantastic, very kind of like that. This is how I remember. If I'm not mixing up with another movie, but just from like the commercials and stuff. Oh, it's a series. Wait a second. Now I'm even more confused because I thought this was a movie.
No, it's a series.
Then maybe I saw commercials. Huh, that is interesting. This is more recent too. But I don't remember hearing it in the context of the Marvel like shows. Interesting.
No, it's a good series. It's a really good, hilarious. Because even there, I think to Elle's point, I think her husband left her because she wanted to pursue stand up, and she was like, no, like I want to do something for me, like I want to do this, and her husband like, no. He's like, you know, if you go, I'm going to leave you. And she's like, okay. And she left and she went. And sure enough, that's what ended up happening. And it was funny because I think in one of her stand up, she actually talked about it, but she talked about it in a jokingly way where, again, the men got uncomfortable and the women were like laughing and joking because, again, they could relate to it. And so, and again, even still during that time, it was still like a male dominated thing, a male dominated audience, because a lot of the people who were there were men, and they had like either their wives or their fiancés or their girlfriends there on a date. Very few often did you see like just like single women there. It was probably very little,
Probably not because probably like the content of those jokes probably didn't really resonate with women. So it's like, unless they just like stand-up comedy, like I've gone to stand-up comedy shows by
Mhm.
myself. That's because I've done stand-up comedy. But like I would I would say like it would assume like depending on like the performer. That's why like a woman
Yeah.
would go. Like they would, they'll probably say like an Ali Wong by themselves with their girlfriends, and like Eliza Schlesinger, or like any other number of like female comedians like today. But like
Mhm.
back then, I'm sure there probably weren't. And like I was kind of thinking like if these men are there with like their wives and their girlfriends, or just like with the boys or something, I'm sure the girls, the women that they were with, were probably like uncomfortable with some of the jokes too. But you know, like if you like if women are uncomfortable, then it doesn't matter. Like if you ever want to know if you're like in a privileged position, if if like if something happens and like somebody's like now uncomfortable with it, like oh they were cool but now they're uncomfortable, it's and like nothing matters. Like how Roe v. Wade being overturned, it's like all these women are very uncomfortable now, and like there's still
Mhm.
men who are like out here wondering if they should care. It's like yeah, because your life technically didn't change. It did change. You just haven't experienced it yet. Like for women, it's
Right.
like immediate, but like men, it's like unless I'm involved with a woman, then it's going to matter. Depending if a pregnancy doesn't go their way, or
Right.
like if like their sister's pregnancy, or like their mother's, or like cousins or something, like someone that they're related to. But other than that, like it doesn't really matter. So it's okay if it's okay if women are uncomfortable. It's okay with like black people are uncomfortable. Like but once like it's okay if like LGBTQ people are uncomfortable, trans people are uncomfortable. I mean, uncomfortable is like like an understatement. It's pretty much like unsafe, to be realistic. But you know, but the moment when straight white men are like uncomfortable, just bothered, then it's like yeah, no, we gotta make laws. So we have to explain why Rosa Parks. It's like oh yeah, she became revolutionary because she didn't give up her seat on the bus. Like, well, why did she have to? You can't just
Right. She
yeah.
was working hard. She like my feet hurt. I'm tired. I'm not getting up. I'm not moving. No.
Yeah, but it's like no, because she had to move for a white person. Like you can't just be vague about it. It's like oh, she was revolutionary and changed so many things about what, so people could sit on the bus. There were already chairs there. Like that's not like say the part you're afraid to say for weird ass reasons. Like just very weird reasons.
Oh yeah.
I am the archetype. Yeah, especially with your name, Chad Benz.
There's a point where you were like, when you were talking about what kind of guy you liked, you're like, he doesn't have to be 6'2", he doesn't have to have a Benz. I was like, I can't interrupt, but I was like, he doesn't have to be a Benz, or I was like, Chad was like, or I was thinking like Chad was like something like, for sure thought there's gonna be a joke about Chad in there. He doesn't have to have a Benz, he doesn't have to be a Benz, but
Jeez.
oh my god, that's actually a great comment though. The bus.
Yeah.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah.
I think we even brought that up when we talked about class perception about public transit, or like taking the bus. I feel like the bus in itself came up at some point. If you're someone who takes the bus, you assume they're poor, and you assume there's some kind of issue that's like, why are you doing that instead of using the almighty car? Which I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy driving around in my car, my almighty car, but
He's a 6'2" Ben.
oh right, I keep forgetting. I'm sorry, it sounds so terrible, but I keep forgetting Chad is actually kind of tall. Like for whatever reason, just because like we can't see heights and everything here, I just assume like 5'10" at best. Like Kevin Samuels, you're average at best.
I can't believe that's what made him explode. It's like, yeah, these women needed to be humbled. That's another thing.
Oh boy.
Right, when it comes to
Oh my
like,
god, I can't
like
imagine. Yeah.
right. It's like, first of all, how do you like? Why don't you think she is not humble? Is it because, like, because I've had, like, I've heard of like women, like, I don't know, just I guess being themselves or something, and then like a guy would just like a guy in the group would just feel like it's on, like, it's his responsibility. It's on him to just be like, hey, you need to humble yourself. And it's like, why do you know what humble is? Is it because you're uncomfortable? Is it like she's I don't know, speaking about a topic like very well, like very passionately? Is it, I don't know, is she talking about sex? Is she talking about this is something that just made you uncomfortable? So it's like you gotta humble yourself. It's like, it's like what is she even doing? It's weird how comedians will get like a 5-year run when everyone thinks they're hot and they're all problems. What are you gonna say, Toby? Sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, I have to look more into that too because I don't follow comedy nearly enough. So when people disappear and come back, it's like, oh, I didn't even know you were gone. But when it comes to the humble thing, I remember there was a comment. Was this Facebook? Was it Instagram? But there was something with Simone Biles. This was before she kind of had the incident with the twisties. I forgot what it was called.
Yeah, I think it was
It was
called.
before that. It was like maybe a few years. She had really been on a hot run, and someone literally was like she probably had just won her first kind of like when she first went to the Olympics and became on the scene, and maybe it was in between the two Olympics where she had other competitions, and some guy, black man, someone in the comment was like, she needs in all capital, she needs to be humbled. Or maybe she didn't say with all cap. I think the person just said she needs to be humbled, and thankfully it was ratioed in the comments. And I think some other Tarzan black woman was like she needs with all cap to be humbled? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark? Because it was just like, wait, why did he say that? Like, why did he say that she needs to be humble? Like, there wasn't. Again, she has the right to brag because she literally had a move named after her, but she didn't have any braggadocious R about her. It's just, it's just like she was just doing her thing, winning at life. And people decided that she needed to be humbled because apparently you just need to be slammed on your face, which unfortunately, I mean, yeah, she quite literally had an experience a few years later where she did end up having to take off. And I'm like, is this what you all wanted? You wanted to see her fail? Like, it's really not okay. Like, I just thought it was very strange. I thought it was very strange. I mean, I'm not, and of course, whoever commented that years before, I'm not sure they commented later, even on the same platform, but I thought it was weird that people might have been rooting for her downfall. And in general, they want, I don't know, a humbling. I feel like that could be a horror movie parody, The Humbling.
Love it.
I was just thinking of the
canceling.
The
humbling.
Humbling and the canceling. Like, I'm just like, why do people want to see like I don't know. It was weird. But Homie says he wants to date a tennis, someone very attractive. Rag on him. Yeah, I could see that, but at least that's with your friend, and that's kind of like just you roasting each other. That's kind of what y'all do. So it's like, you know what? You know, you're gonna like say that this person's out of your league, which we love to talk about. What is a league? And what even like is like, you know, what does it mean that someone's out of in your league? So I kind of get that when it's like with the homies, you're like busting, you know, their chops, their balls, whatever. But very different if it's just like, I'm just gonna drag a woman for no reason on social media. I'm cool.
Right, yeah.
I got lots of sex, I promise.
I get so much of the sex, you know.
I get all the sex.
I get like 10 sex a week. Like
oh my gosh. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Oh, that's hilarious. But you know what though? I think, let's see, going back to Rocky's point, my group of friends, it was almost like the opposite. Like we pushed each other to shoot for the tens, and if you couldn't get a 10, at the very least, a 7 or 8 at the very least. Anything less than, oh, you're getting roasted to kingdom come.
Oh,
Getting roasted to kingdom come. Because again, we're in the area that we were growing up in, a lot of the girls that we went to high school with, middle school, we all went to the same elementary school. So it's kind of like, okay, I wonder what she's going to look like when she is, let's say, 18. Or I wonder what she's going to look like when she is 16. I wonder what she's going to look like when we graduate high school. And and a lot of times we're kind of just like, looking, engaging, and kind of figure out like, okay, we know what you're kind of, we know that right now, elementary school, everybody's at an ugly phase. Everybody. By the time you get into middle school, that's when you kind of have that weird transition period where, for the most of the guys, they started having like mustaches and like not no like peach fuzz, but like uh, I'll get there. I'll get there. I'll get there. So the guys that I went to um, middle school with, a lot of them, they had a full blown mustache, full blown beards. Like they were shaving in middle school. They were already shaving in middle school. And so for for the majority of the girls, to them, like, oh, you're shaving, that means you're responsible. Or hey, you can iron your own clothes. That means you're responsible. This, and the third. You can take care of yourself. And so it was just kind of like that ordeal. By the time we got into high school, that's where a lot of the growth, maturity actually kind of came into full circle. And so now it's like, okay, this is who you are now. And so by the time, yeah, that's a hormonal thing. We're not going to get into that. For wait a minute. Hold on, hold on. Biologically, biologically. Okay, we go to biologically. We're gonna stop there. So,
Sure, mustaches.
so in high school, again, we're at the age where we're basically going, when by the time we graduate high school, we're gonna pretty much end up growing up in some way, shape, or form. And even still to this day, a lot of the people that I went to high school with, they swear up and down like I haven't changed. Like the only thing that is, I know, I know, the only thing that's really changed about me is the fact that I have more facial hair and I'm a lot more mature than when I was in high school.
Mhm.
So when I kind of like think back over like my high school career, I mean, sure, I got made fun of for like not getting the best looking girl in the school, or not talking to, at least physically, the best looking one in the school. But at the same time, I kind of forfeited all of that because it's like, well, I'm not like you guys because I don't necessarily see women as like things or objects. Like I see them for who they are. And so a lot of the popular girls I was more so friends with. And we had conversations with, and it was cool. And I was like, I wish, you know, somewhere near distant future we could possibly date because I'm already in a relationship. But what you're offering is a lot more beneficial than what I'm actually getting with my current boyfriend. I'm like, well, you always have the option to leave him. You always have the option. You don't have to say you're not committed to nothing. I mean, there's nothing stopping you at the end of the day. Well, again, there's nothing stopping you. It's either a yay or nay. And if it's a nay, cool. I still see you during the halls. I'll still say hi, this, that, the third. And we could be, cool friends and everything else outside of that. whatever. Me personally, I really don't care. But you can't say I didn't shoot my shot.
Right.
Interesting.
No.
So, well,
Oh, so like, no, you bring up like some really awesome points, Ron, because like, you know, like high school and middle school are such like pivotal years in terms of like, especially finding like who you are and who you're like attracted to, or
yeah.
like the kind of looks or the kind of person. But like, you do get the external influences from like friends, TV, the type of people that your friends like, or like your friend will be like, "Oh, she's hot." The other friend will be like, "Yeah, she is really hot." And then like, you're looking at her and you're like, "I don't see it. Is she supposed to be hot?" And
Right.
like, when you start being like, "Oh yeah, she's hot." It's like maybe it's like her legs or something, or like I don't know, like her eyes. I don't know. Like you just
Right.
can't really like see it, and and so like like and like definitely men. I feel like they get teased and just like crapped on
Mm-hmm.
by their friends if they're dating someone who like isn't like quote unquote hot, and
Mm-hmm.
like women. I feel like in general, it's like more okay for us to like date a man who isn't like attractive, even though like low key, high key, we all want to. Like, but I think like once you like overview is the most judgment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, but like as we grow older, like they like to say that like, oh, women start to get desperate when they hit like 30 or something, and it's like maybe for some. I'm not saying that there aren't any out there. I think,
Mm-hmm.
but I like being in my 30s. I feel as though like my tastes have just like evolved. They
Mm-hmm.
just grew older with me. Like I have
Mm-hmm.
like there's other things that are important to me that matter in a person. Like I've grown older. I met hundreds of people. Like I've interacted with like so many different people.
Mm-hmm.
So I've dated I don't know how many people, but like it's just it's like, okay, now I see like what it is that I can deal with, what it is that
Mm-hmm.
it's just like absolutely no, what is like a red flag for me. And it's just like my
Mm-hmm.
tastes have just matured, evolved, and just changed. And I I could be wrong. Definitely let me know. I know that men go through this as well, where like their tastes in women just like evolve. But I don't think it gets as like I don't think it grows as much. And I think it's just because of like
Mm-hmm.
this like the typical like, oh, she has to be like hot, or like she has to like there's still like these certain things where, and of course I'm generalizing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but just like like from what I've seen, it's just it seems like there's still things that like men put on like a higher pedestal, like something that they really need to care about, which could actually just end up being just like detrimental
Right.
at the end of the day. Like one thing I wanted to bring up, I hope this kind of goes into the topic. Um, like, and I kind of wanted to like, I was actually thinking about getting back into joke writing, so I kind of want to like write this into a joke.
Um,
Um, like,
let's go.
like women are like clearly like the smarter or like just more evolved like gender, because like yeah, we would date someone for their money, but like it's weird how like men are still like so devolved or unevolved, because like they would leave a woman who's making like 200K to go be with a woman who makes less than him, so they can struggle together, so he could just feel manly. Like the wealth of being manly is just more important than being comfortable and being like financially
Ooh.
secure.
That's
And like
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Of course, you're gonna get the source, source. You're gonna get the source comment. I mean, for me, I don't know. It's just I feel like I'm still learning, and I'm like, I mean, I'm pushing 30, and I guess my tastes are evolving. but
Pushing it.
push it, yeah. Um, projecting the most negative. Yeah, I mean, of course, these are generalizations
Yeah.
for all. Just like you could have generalizations about women and what they want, and what happens. I don't know, like when it comes to like men who age and like what men want as they age. Because you kind of see men as already like, okay, you're already married with kids. I mean, maybe yeah, you get divorced and then it's different. But then it's like, what are you looking at? Like when it comes to the, because I feel like that's not talked about a lot. Is like men who are single in their 30s. I mean, you have a lot of Hallmark movies and things about men who like either lost their wives
Mm-hmm.
from death or divorce or something, and then they kind of like get back into some kind of relationship. Women, maybe they had a partner they lost, or it could just be they're just a working woman who's in their 30s, 40s. But I don't know. It's for me, it's kind of like I can't really be offended because it's not like I'm. Oh my gosh, you like I'm just like I'm kind of here on the outside of it, kind of like not really seriously dating, or really date. I wouldn't question mark. I'm not really dating, but I'm not really doing anything. So it's just kind of like, and then I know people who I guess are like in their 30s and stuff. But I don't necessarily talk to them about their interests. So like when I think of my guy friends who are in their 30s, some of them are pushing 40. And I know one girl was 39. I didn't know she was 39. I really like I probably could have thought she was in her 30s, but not like high 30s. So when she told me a few months ago she's 39 and she'll be 40 like in September, I was like, there's no way. But in general, it's kind of like I don't know. I'm trying to think about like what specific anecdotes I can even provide as counterexamples or supporting evidence to these generalizations, because I'm not sure. Like, do I know women who are like, I guess I know one woman who's 30, 31, and she has talked about talking to older guys and how she's trying to talk to guys with money. And she's smart. So she's like a PhD working in nano engineering. She's also black. So like, hooray for the culture and everything. And like she's talked about her dating woes and like maybe successes, but mostly woes. And then I don't know. I have like guy friends in the same age range, but I don't necessarily hear them talk about like who they're trying to get with, and like, because I guess your general point is like the women have more refined taste. They kind of know certain things that they don't want. The fact my friend who's a PhD, she was telling me some epiphanies that she had. I mean, hers are a little bit more, a little bit more. I mean, it definitely is a little controversial because she says she's like basically exiting black men, but that's a different story. I don't want to fully get into it. Exiting is a strong word. I made that up because online a lot of people talk about the, I think divestment is a word I've heard where some people, some black women have talked about they're divesting from black men. She didn't use that term, but I got that energy. I got that energy very heavily. She's had her experiences that I guess led her to wanting to pursue something different. Again, probably generalizations because, even if you have a few bad experiences with certain race, certain age range, it doesn't mean that all people in that age range, I say age range is probably more predictive, but not 100%. Because I just heard recently someone somewhere was talking about, it was Reddit. Someone was like, I don't know. I think it was a dad who was like saying, my son is interested in this woman who's 6 years older or something. And like, what should I do? And all the comments were roasting like the OP, saying like, you should probably mind your business and like stay out of your son's life. I mean, okay, that's kind of harsh, but they were like, you should mind your business and really like not destroy your son's the relationship with your son and his potential future wife.
I mean, like 6 years isn't even that big of a, I mean, it depends on like.
I guess he was 24, she was 30, or he was 25, she was 31. So he's like in his 20s and the woman's in her 30s.
That's not that bad.
I'm done. He said that's a yikes. Chad, wait, that's a yikes? Wait, are you saying it's a yikes that the dad was so involved, or it's a yikes of that age gap? But I got a little too in the weeds of the age thing. The board point was like that there's certain predictors of, what could go wrong or not. I don't know. People have like their specific experiences and they do sort of like reorient their entire way of thinking in terms of dating and like what they want out of the other or out of the prospective gender. But with my guy friends, I really can't say because either they were like complete thirst bags who were just like horny all the time and just wanted anything, or they were, I don't know, we're close or we're cool, but we just don't talk about girls and dating. So I haven't really heard much from my guy friends like what they're looking for, and kind of as we age, what they actually want. And it's an interesting thing because I realize I don't talk a lot about that kind of stuff with my friends, with my female friends. Yeah, I kind of sometimes get some insight into them, what they're looking for, or maybe I've just heard stories, or maybe I overhear them talking to other girls. But like, I don't know, I went a little bit of a tangent, but I was kind of like, I actually don't know. I couldn't even like refute or support what you're saying, Elle. And I know some of it was like more of a joke, but I'm like,
And also, like, just like a generalization from just kind of what I've been, sort of hearing. Like, I was talking to like my guy friend about this, where like his sister has like a very profitable like company, like, like she's making like, I think 6 figures, but like low 6 figures, but fantastic. She has her own company, she's doing her thing, and she has, I can't remember if it was like her husband or boyfriend, like a male significant other, and he doesn't make as much as her, and like apparently like he complains a lot about, because like she wants him, like, because he helps out with the company sometimes, like getting like picking up supplies and like helping out and doing things, and she could be, from what my friend was telling me, she seemed kind of controlling. I'm not gonna lie, like some of it seemed like to be a bit too much, and there was other times when it's like, like the husband, needs to like chill. Like, the husband is like clearly like like, I feel like he's being like emasculated, which I feel like is another thing to talk about, because I personally think that's impossible for someone to do to somebody else. Because
I beg to differ. I
really,
beg. I
like,
beg to. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
someone can emasculate some. Like, I feel like, because like that means that it was a thing that someone can remove from somebody.
Oh yeah. It's that's been going on for years. There's nothing new. It's been going on for years, and even then, I'll put it to like case in point when we were living out in Colorado Springs. A good friend of mine, he confided in me in a lot of things, and one thing that he said was like, it felt like he could do everything, clean the house, cook dinner, do everything that he was supposed to do as a man. You know, Again, going back to the um, the definition of what it means to be masculine, he was doing that. He was doing all of that. The moment where he didn't do anything that reflected his role as a man, whether it would be providing, whether it be going on days, whether it be the protector, just whatever the little things that it could be. He felt as though that his partner made him feel less than as a man. Where, well, how come you're not doing this? How come you're not doing that? How come you're not doing this? How come you're not doing that? And was just laying into him. And so over time, because of the fact that the negativity that he was receiving, he was like, okay, if I don't fold the clothes up in the right way, then especially to her liking, then I'm gonna get crapped upon about it. Or if I don't find a way to fix the leaky faucet, or if I don't find a way to make sure there's gas in the car, or if the car is running, like if I don't find a way to do any of this, then I'm going to get a lot of the negative connotations to the point where she is threatening to leave because somebody else could do better. And so it was like it's frustrating because now I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, what is it that I'm not doing? Like, what am I not doing that's going to help the family? What am I not doing that can be changed, that can be fixed? Like, because I really love this person, but at the same time, like, I don't want to leave this person, go get another relationship, and not fully feel as though I can't be myself in a new relationship because I still got a lot of baggage that I need to deal with, that I need to get resolved with. And we sat there, we talked about it like, dude, like there's just some things that you're just going to have to roll off your back. It's a tough pill to swallow, tough pill to swallow, but you're going to have to do what you got to do because again, you have kids involved now. Because you got kids involved, they're going to see that. And because they're seeing that, now they're going to think it's okay. They're going to think it's okay to talk down on their respective partner rather than try to find a way to build them up. Yes, of course, I get it. If you're doing something wrong and you get called out on your BS, okay, that's one thing. Do better the next time. And especially if said person says, well, I don't like the way how you're doing this. Could you try doing it a different way? Okay, I don't know. Can you show me how I should be doing this so I can get it right? It then if that, helps, it helps. But at the same time, you both have to be open to the communication link because again, it's necessary. It's definitely necessary. And so like, well, I'll give it a shot. And so we talked, some time afterwards, and it still never changed. It still never changed. It was like, man, I don't know what I should do. Like, should I leave? Do I need to go? I'm like, dude, yeah, this is true. This is so true. This is so true. And again, the guy, he's not a violent person. He's not a violent person at all. He rather tries to talk things out, be level headed and everything else. But it got to the point where she was actually beating on him. And he was like, I can't take it. I can't deal with it. Like I can't. Because I know the moment I put my hands on her, I'm going to jail. Flat out. I'm going to jail. And even if the cops get called on, there's a possibility she's not necessarily going to do any time. So it's kind of like, well, what do I do? Do I stay, continue to get the abuse, or do I just leave and start afresh? Like, dude, do what you got to do. If you got to leave, you got to leave because that's not cool. That's not right. You are doing the absolute best that you can do. Do what you got to do at the end. And he did. He ended up leaving and ended up getting with a young lady that is empowering him to do better than what he was going through. And I kind of felt bad because I'm like, man, like they were a solid, good couple and everything else. But knowing a lot of the inside stuff that wasn't necessarily being spoke about was like, wow. So it does happen. It does happen a lot more often than what's being talked about. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. And even then, you fast forward 2020, it shows. It shows 2020 on forward. It shows a lot. It shows a lot, which is another reason why you had between 2020 up until 2021, 2022, divorce rates was going up to the roof, was going up through the roof. And so it was like, okay, what needs to be done because it's not working. The old thing is not working.
Right.
And, and even then, with the lack of resources being available, you know, what needs to be done now? Let's see. Somebody said,
I do want to ask, like, was it ever working?
Actually, when we first met them, yeah, it was
Oh no, sorry. I guess I meant that more of like as a broader question.
okay.
Like you said, because you said the old way is no longer working.
Right. So let,
Sorry.
let, let, let me let me let me go back a little bit because
No,
true,
I'm glad
Rocky.
that you got out of that relationship though.
True, Rocky. True,
Hmm.
so true. So let me go back a little bit ways because I remember I think L you posted this one of the podcasts or an episode from I think it was Robert Reeves. I think Robert Reeves. I think he touched on this a lot.
Okay.
And there's been a lot of videos that you posted from Robert Reeves that actually makes sense, makes total sense. And so the one thing that he pointed out was during the pandemic, where a lot of people were able to go to work and were able to, well, before 2020, people were able to go to work, do what they needed to do, and especially men, they were able to go to work, be around other men, have a good time, and everything else. Once the pandemic hit, because of the fact that the lines of work that they were doing, it kind of forced them to kind of go back home and kind of be by themselves, which it was like, okay, that's fine, but I'm stuck in a house with my partner 24/7. And a lot of times we're actually finding out more about each other that was blindsided because of love. But now because we're home together 24/7, we're seeing each other's quirks, we're seeing each other's buttons. Like a lot of things are slowly coming to light. And so now it's like, okay, I want to get back out to work. Yeah. Oh yeah. And so with with the pandemic and coming out of it, a lot of the men are refusing to work because of the fact that the jobs that they once held no weren't necessarily fulfilling to them per se, but at the same time they weren't necessarily getting anything out of it. And even then, when they were coming back home, it was like, well, I'm catching more hell at home than when I'm doing at work. It should be the opposite. I should be having peace at home and catch hell at work. But it's the complete opposite. And so now it's like, okay, we know that men tend not to be extremely social creatures, which that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother time. And the need for them to actually have friends, to be more social, to be more open, has basically resulted them going online and finding friendships that way. And even then take it to a point where, a lot of the guy friends that they may meet, oh yeah, I prefer peace any day. I'm with you. I rather have peace any day. But again, different topic for a different time. Different topic for a different time. I know, right? I
Wordle hour.
know, right? I know. I'll try to make this quick.
Yeah.
But from what Reeves said, he was saying that he's
Peace.
what he was saying that more men are needing to be not only necessarily be open to be around other men, but to be open about their feelings and to be open about what they actually want, because a lot of times if you ask a man what does he really want, he's going to say I don't know, or he may say something that his friend may want, and he may tweak it a little bit to kind of fit him, but it's not necessarily what he wants. And so it's just this whole um I guess the word I want to use for right now is kind of like reprocessing a lot of what they used to know, and to rethink about a lot of things that run that come on brain work with me now. Come on brain work with me. And to kind of think things more thoroughly and more deeply, because it's needed. And even then, going back to what you're saying, El, like, no, it never worked before, period. It never worked. And so with the pandemic coming in, it exposed what never worked anyways. And so now it's like, okay, I need to reevaluate my life. I need to reevaluate my goals. I need to reevaluate myself to figure out what it is I need to do and what it is I need to go for, and what steps I need to do to get there. And again, it's not just men. Women have been doing the same thing too as well. But again, L, to your point, because women have evolved a lot more than men, they're able to think things further down the line and pretty much work backwards to be able to achieve that goal.
Okay. Like, so
Mhm.
like, here's the thing.
Go for it.
Like what Toby posted, the Niger player. And if more men are reporting on that, it look like women are the chaos. It depends on like A, who you're listening to,
Mhm.
and B, where did they come up with that, and why are you continuing to listen to them?
Mhm.
Like, it's very easy to just like, and I've done this on this episode. Like, I try not to, but like it happens where we just try to generalize things. Like women like to say, I mean, men like to say like women are emotional. Yet I find it, very peculiar and ironic for the gender that was taught to not show emotion to dictate what is emotional. That's like saying somebody who has $57 in their bank account is rich because you have negative 35. It's like, well, no, there's definitely more extremes. Like, I'm just trying to balance,
Mhm. Mhm.
So, like it's kind of, like, oh, women are naggy. Women, like they always want things to be like that. Women always have to be right. And it's like, I don't know. It's very like negative relationship talk.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
you have any like gay, lesbian, LGBTQ friends, like, and how like they talk and try to navigate relationships, like, like they come at, or poly people as well,
Mhm. Mhm.
especially like people don't really like, they come at it from like a different perspective where it's
Oh yeah.
like to put it like succinctly, where they just don't hate their partner. Like they just genuinely like the person that they're with.
Mhm.
Seth Rogen was on the Diary of a CEO like a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, and he was talking about how, not only like he doesn't have kids, but like how he just really genuinely likes his wife.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he made a movie, which I would like to see. Like I saw like previews of it years ago called Neighbors, and
Mm.
he felt that like one of the reasons why it was so well liked was because the man and the wife liked each other. Like apparently in the movie, like they smoked weed with each other, like they hung out. Like they actually genuinely liked each other, and like
Mhm.
Seth Rogen just genuinely likes his wife. He doesn't like to take on projects out of LA to be far away from his wife.
Mhm. Mhm.
So like, like it's very easy to just kind of like box things, which is why like I really just don't like terms like masculinity and femininity. Like the whole like, but I understand like why terminology is necessary. Like when I say this next part, like
Mm-hmm.
when we're talking about like people emasculating, especially like young men, it's like, is that emasculating or is that like abuse? And I'm like, well, and I was like, the terminology, I guess, like doesn't really like matter. But if it's like, if I don't know, like, so I was just kind of like, it's like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a man. Maybe like this is like, of course, like men growing up and men, experiencing things like this would be a bigger thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like masculinity, being a man, doing these things like this is like a bigger thing. Like you see it like literally everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Women, fortunately, I guess, in a way, like had the privilege of like sort of defining and being who they wanted to be. Because it's like, oh, women can now be like firefighters or like, to put it like very simplistically. Of course, it goes like further than that. Or like, women can be scientists and
Mm-hmm.
use their brain because they actually have thoughts and may actually be smart sometimes. But men, since they were always kind of like in those roles,
Mm-hmm.
the other roles that they could now explore were always looked at as like lesser than. Whether it's like like getting like I don't know, getting their nails done, or like getting or like enjoying cooking or gardening or like whatever is
Mm-hmm.
considered like more feminine, more because gardening, yeah, it's taking care of plants, it's nurturing, which is like, as Toby said earlier, is like a trait of femininity. So like these things were always looked at as, it's like where can men turn to? It's like, oh well, I actually really like fashion and clothing, and it's like, what? No, that's gay, and it's just like that's it. That's all. It's like
Yeah.
close
Yeah.
the book, throw it out. It's like no, like if he likes clothes, like there's nothing wrong with that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like you got to
Mm-hmm.
stop making it seem as though like, oh, somebody like if a man likes a more feminine thing, it's just lesser than. Like it's just
Mm-hmm.
beneath him. It's like so it's like so like yeah, I know I was like kind of went on like a massive tangent, but like because I want to take sorry, my bad. I wanted to sorry, it's late, y'all. I gotta like crank up the brain. It's like like in marriages, especially like the
Mm-hmm.
stereotype of like the whole ball and chain kind of like rhetoric. It's it's just like it's just like that kind of like that kind of speech, that kind of vernacular that's like makes it seem so. Like I personally take massive offense to like women equals chaos because that is so not true, especially for a woman like me who grew up in chaos. So like if I like
Mm-hmm.
most women like most people be like, oh, like most women if they were trying to like take a jab at a man, be like, oh, you're just like your father. That's like the insult. I'm like, you're just like my father. Hell no. Like, if it's just like one little trait, it's like, that's just chaos. That's just like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've had friends, come over, sit down on my couch and we just like talk and, about anything. They always say, like, I have a very, like, tranquil, peaceful, comforting environment. And I take massive pride in that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I know that there are like tons of women who are, of course, they're like me, who are they, like my sisters, for example, like just want calmness, just want tranquility.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
usually the chaos comes from if like someone doesn't feel like they can say or express certain things, or if someone feels like they're controlled or someone is controlling. That's
Mm-hmm.
usually when the chaos ensues. So it's like, if it's like, oh, women, they got to bring the stress. It's like, what is it that you're looking for? Like, if you're coming into a relationship, you're coming into like looking at, the gender that you're trying to have kids with, have a family with. If you're like, no matter like your sex or your gender, like if you're looking at them as just like trouble, and I've been there too. Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like I haven't had these thoughts. I for sure have. And it's like, if you're coming in with those thoughts, and you're going to get the bullshit, like point blank, period. Like, because you're expecting the BS, you're going to be looking out for the BS. So all you're going to see is the BS. And of course, in relationships, yeah, there is like some BS, but like, just like with any relationship, whether it's like a friendship, you know, like with colleagues or, you know, friends, family, what have you, there's going to be BS because no one's perfect. But if it's like, but you don't think of your friends and like, you know, you go over to their place and like, oh, here comes the BS. You know, like it's like, then why are you friends with them? But like it's just like, I you know, I always find it like very fascinating because like, of course, like I've been, you know, like I've been in situations like this as well, where it's just like, you're just dealing with a piece of garbage. And it's like, dealing with this piece of garbage human being. I've had a million guy friends to have them talk about their girlfriends or like girls that they're talking, and it's like they're just constantly complaining. And I'm like, just break up with her then. And like, like just crap that they got to spew to, like, I don't know, like.
I agree.
It's like one of those things where it's like, I get it. It's like, you don't have to though. Like, men don't have to subject themselves to a shitty marriage. Women don't have to subject themselves to a shitty marriage. Like, it's just like, I don't know. Like, I guess there's just some sort of, I don't know. Like, is it the Instagram pictures that they're like, is it like the snapshots of like their life? Is it just like to go to work and be like, oh yeah, my husband did the darndest thing? And it's like, your husband sounds like he's worthless. I am sorry. Or it's like, oh, you know, I don't know if my wife is going to let me do that. And it's like, your wife's not going to let you go to a baseball game with like your guy friends, and your kids are like 17 and 18. Like, you know, it's like, why, what, why? Like, is it like, you know, so it's, you know, like I've definitely heard it like everywhere. Like I could even, you know, touch on, you know, just like toxic relationships in like, you know, the homosexual community, but I'm not gonna do that tonight. Just from like what I've heard from friends and stuff, which is like, I've never thought of that before, you know, but it's like, it's great and eye-opening. Even in the polyamory community, like things I've heard of, it's like, why are you gonna cheat on your partner when you're poly? Like, just tell them the truth.
That's what I was to say. I know, Ron, immediately you said, you started nodding, and I was like, oh, wait a second. Right.
But yeah, no, like I could go on and on. It's just like, I feel like we always come to the same conclusion when it comes to these conversations. It's like, we're more similar than we like to make ourselves out to be. We have to do a lot of deep diving into like, what is it that we actually want? How is it that we actually feel? And how can we actually express that? So to go back, like if saying being emasculated is the term that best describes the thing, like I'm not going to just like be all like, oh, well, maybe it's blah, blah, you know, just try to like, because it's already hard enough for men to come up with words in and of itself, especially when it comes to dealing with a situation like that. So, you know, yeah, like, but it's like, no, I have to put my foot down. It's like, no, women aren't out here making chaos. Trust me. Like, especially like the men that I've dated, like the BS that they've said, like the ways that they're like manipulate and control, and it's like, no, you can't control me, my guy. Like, I'm not even here to control you. Like, but it's, yeah. Sorry, let me highlight these other comments. I met a guy who broke up with a woman because she was boring, but I can think at least of 5.
Yeah. That, man.
It also depends. Men do end up. I've seen men end up breaking up with women because they're broke. Like, it takes them a year and a half to realize she was hot, and it takes you like a year and a half to realize it's like she doesn't have anything else going on. I know that's a generalization again. That was also me partly joking. Like,
That's interesting, actually, because I was wondering if it was kind of more that they found her like bland, like, oh, I have a girlfriend, but then maybe she's like more average. She's not necessarily smoking hot. But actually, what you said, I think makes more sense. Oh, that personality
Mm,
wise, there was just some kind of like, I don't know if you want to say it's ditzy, if you want to say it was just basic. I mean, I feel, I'm not trying to like overgeneralize or like slander women for having certain traits, but like that because when I first saw Rockets come, I really thought of like, okay, you have someone who maybe they just don't want to be as, I don't know, not promiscuous, but they're like more boring, quote unquote, in bed. Maybe they don't look blah blah. But I guess it could go either way, or maybe that's all that they have, and then you realize, okay, besides like getting off and having someone nice to look at, what else is
mm,
there? Personality wise, and like, do you care to go on trips? Do you care to like explore things? So that is interesting. There's a
mm,
few ways to see
mm,
Rocky's comment. Um, but that's interesting because you kind of very like with Gift Shinobi, what you said about gardening, like you kind of very quickly are like, yeah, I garden is fine. But like that could be a point in like this type of like dynamic where it's like, oh no, if you're a guy who does these things, absolutely not. And just like the way you might like write off a girl because she does X, Y, and Z, and that's too masculine. Like you do that. I mean, you garden, maybe you
Pick
sew, maybe
yours.
you
mm.
do certain like yeah, you might sew, you might I don't know. I'm trying to think of other things that traditionally you might think women will do. Um, so I don't know. I feel like everyone has blind spots, and even the things that you might think are very masculine or things that you think are normal for you, other people might say are not right, and you might be on the receiving end of someone kind of I don't know yucking your yum, right?
Mhm.
You want to say it that way. But I laughed earlier when you were talking Elle because I saw Rocky's comment and I was like, that's actually kind of funny.
Oh,
Um,
which one? Huh?
this one right here with the being poly.
What's wrong?
Mhm.
Polly is like I truly like tip my hat to like poly people because like they like you have to be organized. Like you have to be organized. Like
Oh yeah.
there is no other there's no other way.
Oh yeah. No, agreed. Agreed. One of my good friends, she's poly, and we got to talking about it and everything else. And like, how do you manage that? Like, how does that work? And the one thing that she said was communication is very key, is very crucial. And even then, even with the communication, the the fact of the matter that you have to be so super clean, like it's nobody's business. And even then, with the conversations and just being open, honest about what's going on, she was like, yeah, she's that. I'm not gonna lie. Has there been some times when I had some scares? Heck yes. But at the same time, it's just like it was still in her eyes, it was still worth it because she's able to explore, she's able to do certain things and just overall just have fun. Like, okay, however you see it, go for it. Whatever you see fit, go for it. But I was like, I don't know. That's kind of, and again, to kind to put it at Rocky's point, like it's just a little bit more extra work, you know, just a little bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah, I'd say that. I don't know. I disagree with Rocky here. I do think it's like it could actually be sustainable for a general society. Like as of right now, no. But the way this economy is set up right now, I feel like poly families and thruples are gonna, if not already, are gonna become a lot more common.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see that. I could definitely see that. In excuse me, and even then, goodness gracious, hiccups. Even then, even if let's just say that they all decide to get piece of land and then just build on there where it can accommodate everybody. It was like, sure, why not? Why not? You know, one roof, everybody pretty much pitches in, covers XYZ bills, and, you know, have a happy life and just be chill about it. Will it be kind of weird? Sure. But at the same time, if it works, it works. My 2 cents for the fact. Yeah. My 2 cents on that fact of the matter.
This question. I mean, if it's full of hot guys, sure. But hot guys who are over 6 foot making 6 figures.
My God,
Yeah.
It's in
I don't
good.
even know.
Maybe when the macro no society would become too unstable. I mean, I don't know. I feel like society's already unstable, but that's just me.
I would tend to agree. Like the society is already unstable.
Right,
It's already unstable. It's just, oh my gosh.
I gotta find this
Yeah.
really cool article I found today about these two bald eagles who share like a woman bald eagle, and like
Really?
and they've been like they're like a throuple. They've just been like together, like raising families and stuff.
Hmm.
They like the two men previously had like another woman, and then she died, and then they found another. So like it's
Interesting.
it's
That
like,
is interesting.
it's like hooray, freedom. Sorry, it's like hey, but we do have to come to a close though.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting. I'm gonna have to go back through this, especially the recent comments and everything. There's a lot going on, and it's good. We opened the door. Literally, I'm like capturing some of this to post later. I was like, we did open the door to uncomfortable conversations. So shrugs.
Yep.
What can I really say?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we did pretty much tweet it out last week that this is what's going to happen. So kind of got to get prepared. Oh man, even next week's going to be just as uncomfortable.
Yeah, next week is going to be interesting. It might be the first time we really touch on this topic for real that I can think of. If it's a topic I think we're talking about.
Yeah, but we gotta hash it out. But thank you guys for showing up. Matter of fact, wait a minute. Pause. Stop. Rewind. No.
What happened this time?
Nope. L.
Yes. What's up?
Take us out.
Oh, okay. You're just gonna like
Like, no, not doing that. No, go ahead.
it's like I was working for that money. No, out like
No. Oh my god.
no,
No. No.
no.
No. Mm-mm. Not even close. Not even close. Not even close.
No.
That's another topic for another time at a later date.
Yeah. Well, with that said, good night, everybody. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us, especially for this long.
Yes.
Hope you guys got comfortable with being uncomfortable. No, they don't have orgies every time they see each other. It's just having equal partnership with multiple people. That's you just have multiple boyfriends or multiple girlfriends, and you share the times with each other and navigate things. And but multiple partners. So, anyways, good night, everybody. we'll see y'all next week with a really awesome topic. And as always, you can hang out and talk to us on Discord. But with that said, good night.
Good night.
Depending on how I'm feeling. Good night.